You are about to opt in to Monerotopia, a show for the Monero community where all are welcome to join. From noob to maxi, no matter what bags you hold. Just sit back and relax to the sweet sounds of Monero's latest progress. Or if you're feeling inspired, join us on stage. Remember, the only thing that can stop Monero is a false belief that it can be stopped. And if you want to win the revolution faster, we recommend you remove your XMR from all custodial exchanges immediately. Warning, voting accidents are common around here. Don't forget to properly secure your private keys. Monerotopia starts now.
All right. Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, one and all aliens on the planet Earth.
Our fellow aliens.
How's
it going, man? How you doing?
Doing all right. Can't complain. Even if I did, no one would listen. You know how it is.
That's my line every day when I'm asked how I'm doing at work. Cannot complain. You really can't, right? I mean, we're blessed. We're here. We're enjoying the show. Things are definitely entertaining right now in crypto, I'd say. Things are entertaining in Monero land for sure, in privacy coin land.
Oh, for sure.
We are in the spotlight. I don't know, maybe it's just my feed, but I think in general, right? In terms of crypto chatter, generally, I think privacy is definitely one of the main topics that's happening right now, right? Or is it just me and my little feed over here that I just always see the same stuff?
No, I'm starting to see more interest as well. Although right? I'm seeing the interest directed towards Zcash, and it's like, okay, whatever, guys.
Yeah, it is like for the Monero bros, right? It's like we can't catch a break around here. Even when times are good, it's like we get overlooked. Like what?
I'm just sitting here like, come back when you actually get the message, because you apparently haven't received it yet.
It's a little weird. I mean, they should at least be mentioning Monero with, I don't know. You have these people that come out and they're like, oh, they're saying all the talking points of Monero, all the cypherpunk stuff and this, and how, privacy is a human right, and it's gaining attention, and look at these metrics, and here are all examples of it being used more and more, and like no mention of Monero.
Which tells you that they're just a shill for whatever they're promoting, or they don't actually believe what they're saying. They're the NDU crowd,
right? And they're purposely avoiding Monero, right? Because there's no way you're writing about this stuff you don't know Monero. There's just no way. It's not possible.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's very revealing. It kind of put these people on a list and remember who they are, because these are not the true cypherpunks, guys. Like, listen, I don't mention Zcash all the time, but when talking about it, I give you my real take on it. I don't dismiss the project by any means. And if I were to give a talk on different privacy coins and things like that, write an article, like Zcash would be mentioned in it. I wouldn't ignore it. And just to ignore Monero is it's obscene.
It shows you who these people really are. That's just the way it is.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and actually retweet the show. Sunita, if you could retweet the show as well. Penelope, you too.
Looking forward to the Monerotopia conference in February.
Oh yeah, things are definitely heating up with that. We got a lot of interest in terms of participation from speakers and whatnot. So that's all coming together. Let me go ahead and I can bring it up. I don't know if we made updates to the site this week. Let's see. But yeah, very excited. Sunita and I will be going down in advance of the conference. We're actually going down next week. And we're going to get things ready. It's going to be the same venue, the same place, but it's always kind of like we're starting from scratch down there. Obviously, we have a lot of relationships. Everybody knows us. but every time seems to be like the first time when you're doing these conferences. It's just it's hard to make them like scalable and self-running. It's just you're dealing with a lot of different nodes, right? You're dealing with all these different individuals. So it's a hustle. It takes a lot of work, but it's going to be well worth it. I'd say this one definitely be the biggest one yet. Last year was really amazing. It really was. It was like there were moments where I just stopped and looked around. I was like, wow, we have succeeded. Just some of the best people in the game hanging out with us came in from all around the world. Privacy tech lovers, the people actually building these projects, all hanging out, using Monero at the Monero marketplace, and it just works. So much comes out of the conference. I talked to people that want to potentially sponsor or participate, and they ask me how many people go, and we get like 200, we get like 200 real Monero people, 250, maybe over 200 like real Monero people, but then additionally we get the locals that come, but the real value, it's not about if you're participating in the conference and you're a sponsor or a project, it's not about like having 3,000 just people there. It's the people that we do have there are like the highest quality, right? And you just have amazing conversations. So many collaborations have come out of there. So the real value in participating in Monerotopia is essentially the networking, hanging out with fellow digital cash believers and doers, people that are actually building in the space, that actually believe in this stuff, that aren't just there because they're interested in the price, and they're actually principled, right? A lot of like the vast majority of them are there because they share in this ideal of wanting to opt out and live off of digital cash. So it's just a very empowering, strong network of people. It's the grassroots that I believe is the grassroots group that I believe is leading the digital cash revolution. So
yeah, I know there was a shitcoin conference here a couple months ago in Vegas where they got like 35,000 people, and it's like, how many of those are actually like real people and not like NGU maxis or whatever?
Exactly. I mean, when you look at the amount of like followers and stuff we have, people that watch the show versus the amount of people we get to come to the conference, it's pretty staggering, actually. I think we might have the best ratio of any like crypto podcast conference in terms of like our followers versus people that show up. Like we have dedicated people. It's all grassroots because Monerotopia, Monero Talk, we're definitely not benefiting from the algo on X, on YouTube, right? It really is all like you look at our numbers. I think those are like the real numbers of people that are actually interested in this stuff in Monero, like the people that actually care about it, that aren't just like looking to invest in it. And yeah, we get a good turnout. So guys, let me bring it up. Chill it a little bit more. Monerotopia 2026, same venue. It's in Roma, February 12th to the 15th. Grab your plane tickets. I'd say that's priority. Get the plane tickets, and grab a place to stay, and you will make the rest work. Obviously, grab a ticket so we know that you're coming. We kept the tickets super cheap, $99 for general admission. If you're a local, you could pay $25 and you get full access to the conference, or you could even essentially come for free if you're local. If you just want to hang out in the common area, in the marketplace, whatnot, watch the talks on the big screen. The VIP ticket is $199. It's well worth it. VIP ticket, and you get to go to the VIP dinner where you hang out with all the speakers. So yeah. Definitely worth it. Most, we sell almost as many VIP tickets as like general admit. Like most people end up getting the VIP ticket actually.
So next year you're going to be pricing directly in Monero, right? 0.3 Monero and 0.6 Monero for a ticket.
We could, we did that for the first Monerotopia. We did that, and then we ended up changing it. Like we started off that way, or I think it actually was just, yeah, it obviously it complicates things, man. It does complicate things a little bit. It does complicate things a little bit.
That's why you use the moving average and not the market price.
Yeah. We will do better. And we can make that a goal for next year.
Shame on you, Doug.
Pricing the Monerotopia tickets in XMR using the moving average. I got to get that going, that concept going on XMRbazaar as well. I will put that. You got to remind me, man. We'll put that on the to-do list of features, right? We want to add a feature where you basically will see the price, right? You could set your price either, because right now you could set the price in XMR or you could set it in fiat. But we give a third option where you could set it in the moving average of XMR, right? What do you do? You do it by the how many month moving average?
I use the 6 month.
The 6 month moving average. So we make that an option for people to price their stuff in.
That would be epic.
Would that be too confusing? I think we could do that in a right? I think we could pull that off. I think that'd be pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, you just put in how much you want in fiat, and then it would take that and divide it by the 6 month moving average, and then show the price directly in Monero.
Right. It just needs to be clear to people viewing it that they know what they're looking at, right? That they know this is not the Monero price, but this is the moving average price, or this is not. You know what I'm saying? That's got to be clear so people understand. But yeah, back to the conference. Things are heating up. Obviously, Cake Wallet and Edge are our two main stage sponsors. Very excited about that. So the marketplace will be gangbusters this year. Since our two sponsors are both wallets, they'll be competing out there in the marketplace, trying to onboard people to their wallets. We'll also have Monero hanging out with us. Would like to get maybe Unstoppable, at least get them up on the show, learn more about them, but maybe we get them to participate as well.
You know what I'd like to see?
Mm-hmm.
The idea you had for the soccer tournament is interesting, but I think it would be more interesting if you could get like two boxers and have one be Cake Wallet and have one be Edge or whatever, and have a knockdown drag out fight between Edge, and that would be kind of fun.
Maybe we got to do the me versus Monero Maverick fight, and one could be I could be Team Cake, he could be Team Edge, or vice versa. I don't know if do you remember that? I don't know if you remember that drama.
Oh, I remember the drama. I just didn't pay that much attention to it, honestly.
Oh yeah. One of it was one of the things that came out of that was Maverick challenging me to a cage fight at Monerotopia.
Oh, there you
go. So this might be right up your alley. That could work. It is tempting. It is tempting. Just to train would be great. It'd be a great excuse to like get in good shape. It'd really be a win-win all around. The only thing is it would probably come off pretty cringe at the end of the day.
I noticed this week that XMRbazaar was down for a while, and Aaliyah said because it was LEA said it was because too many people.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't clear that it was like a DDoS attack. We were getting thousands and thousands of hits. It was just it looked like pretty organic like growth, and there was just changes that needed to be made. So considered a stress test on XMRbazaar, and now we're fixing things.
Talk about an amazing problem to have too many people interested in your site that it goes down.
I know, and then people are like, "It's down," and it's all over X. I've seen it everywhere. I was like, "All right, this is good. The people want the XMRbazaar." Yeah, don't worry, guys. We'll figure it out. We're not going anywhere, and I'll do whatever we need to do to make it more robust. Obviously thinking big picture things too, right? Like things to ultimately make it more unstoppable. Obviously, it's always going to be legal goods and services, but maybe there's additional things, redundancies we could add into it, things we could essentially decentralize to make it harder for it to ever be taken down by anyone. So yeah, definitely open to moving in that direction as long as we're always abiding by the laws because I am the face of XMRbazaar. Unless eventually it kind of morphs into a decentralized thing. I don't know. I don't know how that could even happen, but yeah, we will do whatever it takes to keep it alive for sure. For sure. And the best things you out there can do to help keep it alive is just use it more and more, and get other people to use it. Live off of Monero. Yeah, we got some speakers added: Aaron Day, Jeffro, Diego Salazar, Pavel, Uri, which is awesome. We got the Digigoal team. I may have them. We tried to do this last year, but didn't really come together. But might try again this year. Have them essentially make a Monero ATM, with the goal of leaving it behind at Huerta Roma. I don't know. We're talking about it. I'm gonna give them a budget to do it, and if we think it's doable, we'll go for it. I don't want to give them a budget to do it, and then we don't really end up with much of anything. I want us to actually end up with something we could pass on to Huerta Roma. But the idea is to kind of make I've been describing it as a local Monero box. So not an ATM, but a machine that people can use to do peer-to-peer trading of cash to Monero and vice versa. So yeah, we'll see if we can pull that off. Would be very cool. Definitely also looking to have and I guess this would be considered part of a hackathon. So we will have a hackathon again this year. I just want this one to be kind of open to anybody that wants to participate, and make it around the concept of essentially improving the marketplace at Monerotopia. So anything that can be implemented over the course of those 4 days that can improve the way the marketplace is functioning at Huerta Roma. So basically improving the onboarding and offboarding of Monero and using of Monero at the marketplace. So helping the vendors, helping the users, coming up with things that will essentially grow Monero adoption at the marketplace and hopefully leave an everlasting mark. The goal is, when we leave Huerta Roma, that the vendors that have been participating over the years, because we have a few that participated in multiple Monerotopias already, that they will continue to accept Monero in the future, and that people will continue to stumble into Huerta Roma and find a Monero accepting vendor. I mean, this is in the middle of nowhere. This is in one of the largest metropolises in the world, right? Mexico City. Whatever it is, 20 million people. It's a hub, a global hub, people passing through it all the time from all over the world. And the venue itself is in the center of Mexico City, in a very safe place. A lot of tourists that do come through end up going through Roma because it's just a nice area to visit. So to make that kind of known as a little Monero petri dish, I think we could get legs. If not there, I don't know where, right? I mean, I understand that Mexico really itself isn't ripe for crypto adoption necessarily, perhaps compared to, I don't know, Venezuela, right, or Argentina, where there's a real need to get out of fiat. But it is a very market-based society. People are out there on more vendors than you'll see anywhere. Everybody's out on the street selling something. It's very accepted, and thankfully they're still accepting pesos cash. It's not like everybody's using Venmo or something. Although I wouldn't be surprised, if things start to move in that direction, and that's why we need to get them to use things like Monero and to understand that if they want to continue to transact with cash here on out, they're probably going to want to learn about Monero and use Monero. So. That is the overarching goal with Monerotopia. I don't know if this is the last one we do there. I always say it is, but as I do it, it becomes it's kind of like the network effect, right? It's keeping us there. But yeah, that's Monerotopia, guys. Grab your tickets. Most important thing, if you want to participate in any way, email us, monerotopia@protonmail.com. Whatever it is, you want to be a speaker, you want to sponsor, you have an idea for something you want to set up and do there, you want you want to perform, whatever it is, Monerotopia@protonmail.com. We'll make it work. We're looking to, we're very open to collaborating people as long as they're, good actors that want to help grow digital cash. VIP dinner is sponsored by Xano. Very excited about that. They're obviously also a privacy tech project that will be involved. They'll be giving a talk there. Trocador is a privacy tech sponsor, and CipherGoat is a privacy tech sponsor. CipherGoat is another instant exchange. We'll have them on the show. We'll have Trocador on the show. We'll have Xano on the show. We'll start to have some of the upcoming speakers on the show. We'll have some of the more of the privacy tech projects as we add them on the show as well in the weeks building up to this. Very excited that we'll have CipherStack on board. So they'll be able to, I think, really give us the best nitty-gritty updates on what's going on with full chain membership proofs. By that time, I don't know where we'll be. I mean, the testnet is sounds like it's doing well. They're finding issues, but it looks like they're fixing them. So I don't know what status will be by Feb, but it's going to be exciting nonetheless. Hopefully, I don't know. Maybe we have full chain membership proofs at its next milestone by then. But yeah, that's it. That's it for now, guys. Monerotopia, please grab your ticks, and we'll see you in Mexico City in February. That's all I got on that. I know it's a long shill, but it's necessary. Yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited. Shortwave. Any chance we see you down in Mexico City at Monerotopia?
I highly doubt it's going to happen.
Okay. Well, you let me know, man. If there's offline, if there's anything I could do to help make that happen. If there's things that can be done.
I'll definitely be attending the virtual conference. That's for sure. I always attend the virtual conference, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to go down there.
Okay. No worries. I'm trying to get the THORChain project involved. I just had an interview with JP, one of the the main guys behind THORChain. We spoke on Thursday night. THORChain is moving ahead with adding Monero. And they're also adding it to their Vulti-Sig wallet, which is something I had no idea about. Like, I wasn't paying close attention to the THORChain space, and I wasn't, very well aware of JP and all the projects he's working on. So I had him on the show. And wow, the guy. First of all, he's much more of a Monero bull than I expected. He's a Monero bro, I should say, not so much a bull. He's not really like necessarily a price guy. He seems to be the real deal. Cypherpunk vision, and he wants THORChain to become one of the major on-ramps, off-ramps for Monero. And so very exciting, and it's happening. It's a matter of time. It's not a matter of if, but when. Maybe as soon as first quarter 2026. First, they're adding it to the Vulti-Sig wallet. I highly recommend people check out what that is. I don't need to go down that rabbit hole right now, but it's very interesting technology. And then actually, by way of doing that implementation, they're going to have everything they need to then implement Monero into THORChain and list it. So this is all it's gonna happen quickly. Part of the reason it's happening quickly is because THORChain needs to add Monero to compete. There's a big need there. People want to use Monero. They want to get it on decentralized exchanges. You have Sarai Dex that's going to be launching soon. THORChain sees Sarai as friendly competition, but competition nonetheless, and they want to grab that liquidity. So they want to perhaps try to beat Sarai to the punch and list Monero as soon as they can. So I'm personally very excited about that. As much respect as I possibly can have for Luke Parker, and I give him all the best. Anything I could do to help Sarai happen sooner than later. I don't think there's anything I can do, but I support that project 110%. But also, I'm excited to see that THORChain is stepping up and trying to compete, and others too. Maybe the Maya protocol, which is related to THORChain, they will eventually have Monero listed as well. Because my understanding is they're trying to take both protocols to the point where whatever's listed on one is essentially going to be automatically listed on the other. So that's very exciting as well. Maya protocol has gained some attention because they recently added Zcash They even did that before THORChain. So they're essentially a fork of THORChain. And they went ahead and added Zcash, and they've been getting a lot of volume from that. So now THORChain wants to compete by being the first to add Monero. So very, very exciting in my opinion. I highly recommend people check out the talk we had yesterday. Like I said, I wasn't even that well versed. I didn't even know Voltisig was a thing. Sure, have you ever heard of the Voltisig wallet?
No, I haven't paid attention to the THORChain stuff at all.
Yeah, so I recommend people check it out. We'll have more conversations about it here. We did the Monero talk. I said trying to get them to participate in Monerotopia. I think if anything, it might be the Maya protocol people that participate. They're kind of like, obviously they're two separate projects, but there's two forks of each other, but they're also very closely associated with each other. Development on one, is basically like you're developing on the other. So they support each other. And Maya protocol, I believe the main dev is located in Mexico, might even be Mexico City. So if anything, we'll probably get them to come out to Monerotopia, which is super cool. So very excited about that. All right, it looks like we do have Bawdy, which is fantastic. I'll go ahead and I'll bring Bawdy up. We'll run the price report. No Tony today, so I guess I'll have to run through the news. I didn't have time to even bring up the link, so I'll try to do that while Bawdy's doing price. I don't have a guest lined up for this week. Moving forward, we'll try to do guests that will be participating in the Monerotopia conference. But this week just didn't have the time. If somebody wants to jump up, please do. I was trying to get Egan Wallet. I would love to get them. I know there was looks like some news. I don't know if this was new news or anything, but it looked like they were actively doing atomic swaps in the wallet at a shortwave. Did you see that?
No, I did not see it.
Yeah, it looked like it's actually launched, being used. People trading Bitcoin for Monero through Egan Wallet using atomic swaps. At least that's what it looked like from what I saw on X. So that's very exciting. I was supposed to do an in-person interview with them a couple of weeks ago. They were coming through New York City, and they messaged me. I wasn't able to do the in-person, but now maybe I could set up, get them on here or get them on Monero Talk. Would love to hear what they're doing. Get them involved in Monerotopia, obviously, would be great.
What is this X thing of which you speak?
Wow, yeah, you're not on X?
I'm not on
Wow.
X. I haven't been on any centralized social media since 2019. I only use Mastodon and Lemmy. And
dude, you are purist. You are a purist. I love it. I love it.
Yeah, I know. Ali A got her account suspended or whatever, and it's like she didn't even do anything wrong. So.
Raphael, I like your shirt though. Yeah. As anybody who watches this show knows, I wear these shirts quite often. I have about 10 of them. It's like my Monero freaking uniform. I'm a Monero soldier, a Monero general, out there wearing my. I actually get a lot of comments on this shirt because obviously a lot of people recognize the symbol that don't know Monero, but that don't spy on me. It's something a lot of people can relate to without even knowing what Monero is, and it inevitably leads to good conversations. But yes, I love this shirt too, and it promotes the Mallorca blockchain conference, which is funny. So I promoted that more than I've ever promoted Monerotopia because I wear this shirt all the time. I've never been there. I've been invited for many years. I know the guy who runs it. He's a fantastic dude. He goes to all the Monero conferences. He was at Monerotopia as well. He's awesome guy. And I think he's still doing the conference. I might try to check that out because, Mallorca is beautiful as well. All right, let's go ahead. I will run the price report, and we'll get Bawdy up here. Bada beep, bada boop. Here we go.
The Monerotopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolist.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
Need
All right, Bawdy, what's up?
Hello, good morning.
Need a T-shirt from Monerotopia that just says, "I went to Monerotopia and all I got was this lousy T-shirt." It's like canon. You need to do it at some point.
I have a pirate chain
It's the Mecca.
keychain bottle opener that is attached to one of my spare keys. People always be like, "Oh, I didn't know you were into pirate chain." I was like, they handed me a keychain, and well, I didn't have a keychain, so here we are.
Pirate chain people are always fun down to it. They definitely add an element, whether you like pirate chain or not. I enjoy having them there, to be honest.
A Monerotopia keychain would be cool, like the little circular Monerotopia logo with a little keyring. That would be awesome.
Doesn't someone?
Yeah.
I mean, there's like swag all over the place, right?
Yeah. We actually, so my daughter will be making the bracelets for everybody. The entrance bracelets. So she's excited about that, and I'm paying her in Monero to make
nice.
the
Is Stephanie
bracelets.
going to be there?
Stephanie. I don't know. I don't know who you're referring to, but let's I don't know. And yeah, we'll have the mugs again. We'll definitely do the mugs again, because you can't bring paper cups or plastic cups into Huerta Roma. So even just for like drinking water or whatnot, we'll have the coffee, we'll have the bar set up for the VIP. So we'll have the VIP mug, and then we'll have the GA mug. Sorry guys, sorry about the background noise here. And then we'll do some other good swag. Should be good. And yeah, people bring their other stuff. The sponsors bring stuff. And yeah, I'll say it again. If you want to come down to Monerotopia and sell something, you want to 3D print a bunch of Monero swag and set it up and sell it. We'll give you a stand, obviously for free. Anything, right? Anything you want to come and sell, as long as we can fit you in, we'll find a place. We'll try to find a place for you. I'm not asking for like a vendor fee or anything. Obviously, we get the people that sponsor are the ones that we feel can afford to sponsor. But anybody that wants to like participate, has things they want to sell, I don't know, they do real estate and they sell properties for Monero in Argentina. Come set up your little stand. Tell us all about it. Tell us about the process. I'm not gonna ask you to contribute. You just come and set up, but you have to reach out and coordinate with me.
The bracelets are a good idea. That's a nice upgrade. Because like with the decals, you always got to wear it, then you forget it, and everyone's like, "Where's your decal?" And actually, no one is like, "Where's your decal?" But yeah, like you just put your bracelet on, and then you're done. You just leave it on for the whole weekend.
Yeah, exactly. We had the hats last year, so the hats were supposed to function essentially as like the bracelet.
Even worse. Like if you're not a hat guy, like
yeah, I know. It was like, all right, not everybody wants to walk around with their freaking hat. So
got beautiful, luscious, flowing hair that you can barely get a comb through. Maybe you don't want to put a hat on. I mean, they're cool hats. Don't get me wrong.
But Bawdy just maybe one of those guys with the luscious hair.
I'm just
it depends. Sometimes it's short, sometimes it's long. If I'm really lazy,
it's pretty luscious, man. As far as hair goes, it's pretty luscious. But we'll probably do the hats again, but it won't be your bracelet. We'll have a bracelet set as well. Plus, Franny's very excited for that, so she feels a little under pressure. She's like, "Oh my god, how many of these I gotta make?" Like you said, you want to make bracelets.
Children yearn for the sweatshops.
Yeah. So she's very excited about that. I told her she has to accept Monero though. She was like, I think she prefers goldbacks. I'll be honest with you. But
gold. It makes sense. They're tangible. They're a work of art.
Yes.
Well, in that case, you pay her in Monero, and then you direct her to XMRbazaar, where she can swap.
Exactly. That's exactly what I told her. I'm like, you could do whatever you want with that Monero after you get it. Just go on XMR, you figure it out.
I'm putting the call out here. I think last year with the goldbacks, I won't say who, but someone was selling a few of them, And I was like, man, if you had brought a few $1,000s worth of gold backs, I would have bought a few thousand off you. So if someone brings, north of 4 figures, south of 5, I probably won't buy $9,000 of gold backs off you. But if you bring some big bills of gold backs, I'll buy them off you for sure.
Oh, all right. Maybe I'll bring. I got some gold backs sitting around. I got some big denominations.
Well, I mean, you're collecting them though, aren't you? Like you're accumulating. I've got like.
I am. Yeah. I mean, I don't have. I kind of have like a one of each type thing. I bought it off. I bought it off the gold backs guy.
Okay, right on.
He was like selling it in like a series, which was really nice. Came in like a wallet and everything.
Yeah, I got the small denominations, but I need some big fat, some thick ones that make noise when you flop them around.
Buy them on XMRbazaar was the first purchase I ever made. I do have a bunch of the small ones too, just from being at PorcFest in years past, and I would exchange Monero for goldbacks, and there were a lot of buyers, a lot of people looking to sell their goldbacks for Monero. Okay. But not last year, not this past one though. Actually, it was very interesting. Sorry guys, hold on. Sorry about that. This year at PorcFest, goldbacks kind of took a major dip because they didn't have the goldbacks stand there. So there was, I guess there wasn't a lot of goldback liquidity. Like nobody was really using goldbacks this year.
Huh.
It was like it crashed. There was like goldbacks was like the thing at PorcFest this year.
Doug, you muted yourself.
Yeah, I had to. This year it was there was a goldbacks crash. Nobody was. I mean, there were a few people using them, but I think it was because people weren't able to go get them at the stand, so nobody wanted to use their goldbacks, so they wanted to keep their goldbacks because there was no way to replenish them by going and buy. I don't know. It was weird. Yeah, there was a crash in goldbacks usage this year.
Yeah, that is weird. I guess you'd think by now there'd be more people that are, I don't know, dealers or sellers or whatever.
Yeah, or just bringing their own goldbacks, right? But I guess people didn't want to use them. They were like hodling. I don't know.
Well, that was probably a good decision because look at what happened to gold. They're all worth like twice as much now.
Well, yeah. Well, this was since June. Right?
Oh, okay. Oh, never mind. Well, shit. Yeah. I mean, they're still up like 50% since then.
Yeah, crazy. But a lot of Monero usage, like the Monero usage, that definitely didn't slow down. It'll be interesting to see next year what the Zcash scene will be at PorcFest. We'll see if there's a tick up there. I mean, they've always been like at PorcFest, just not really getting used. So we'll see this year if that changes. Somebody's gonna have to represent at PorcFest. I don't know if I can make it this year, but we can't leave a vacuum there. We need a strong Monero presence. I'm saying that right now. So people better step up and run the Monero tent at PorcFest. We don't want to lose our stronghold there.
Hey man, maybe the community needs to fly on its own. People need to. It would actually be quite a testament if there was no Monero tent and everyone was still using Monero anyways.
Sure, but I don't want to take that chance. I don't think we're ready to take. I don't think we're ready to take the training wheels off yet. I mean, even Goldback, like I said, Goldback's tent wasn't there, and Goldback's usage plummeted. Obviously, it's not the same issue. People can get their hands on Monero more easily, but yeah, I would like to see Monero tent come back next year.
Yeah, 100%.
All right,
maybe we team up with Zcash. Uh oh.
What's our price doing there, Bawdy?
Let's see. I'm sharing my screen right now, so I don't know if you can.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah, so Monero price is at 331. We're actually, the rest of the crypto market seems to be like kind of, I don't know, having a few problems, whatever. Monero seems to be actually performing quite well. It looks like we're about ready to break out here. I don't know. Should I go ahead and just get into it, or do we have any other announcements?
Go ahead and get into it. I'll put the XMRchat.com/Monero talk. Guys, send your super chats there. Just put it in the chat. And yeah, take it away. Take it away.
Cool. And then remember to maximize the charts, please. Yeah, so we got Monero here and doing pretty good. It looks like we're about to maybe break towards the upside. Doug, do you want to put? Yeah, there we go. Okay, sorry. Yeah, so we're kind of forming maybe like this rising wedge, I guess. I don't know. But usually when you're knocking on that doorstep a few times, right, you're eventually gonna break out. So this blue line right here, it's a little bit faint. Probably can't see it that well, but that is the upper standard deviation, like kind of on the local sense. In fact, let's go to the 4 hour. That'll be easier to see. But you'll notice that's also coincident with the pleb line, so that's nice. That's kind of like a little, hey, these two things are kind of similar, kind of line up. So yeah, we've been bouncing at the top of that range, like 1, 2, at least 3 times, if not 4, 4, 5, 6 times. So this should break soon, guys. Like we should, as long as like there's not some sort of massive problem for risk markets and crypto markets here in the next few weeks. Monero's probably about to do this guy, something like that. They'll, the cabal, maybe they'll try and hold it off for a minute. Maybe everything else is just about to shoot up, so they don't mind if Monero shoots up with everything else, because then they can still keep the attention. Say, oh well, I mean, they're not going to say it, but the implication, because of the implication, they're gonna say that. Yeah, I mean, of course, Monero's going up. Everything is going up. And they'll pump Zcash again. I don't know. Actually, I haven't looked at Zcash in a week. So let's see what's happened to Zcash. Oh, I guess they're just consolidating. It's kind of what this looks like to me. This looks like a pennant. You probably call this a pennant of some kind. So yeah, it looks like Zcash will probably, just from the fucking tea leaves, they'll probably get themselves another little pump here coming soon enough. Maybe they'll try and, man, they're probably gonna try and flip Monero. I'm not gonna lie. If Tux was here, I would reassure him not to worry, bro. Your gains are coming soon. But I don't trust them. I don't believe them. I think that's an entirely manufactured thing that happened there. It's not organic. Like, I refuse to believe that that's organic. Nothing about what's happened there looks organic to me. So. Looking at the Bitcoin versus Monero ratio, or the Monero versus Bitcoin ratio, that right shoulder continues to play out. I guess we're gonna get our inverse head and shoulders, and this thing's gonna move towards the upside. That's what you would say here. I guess maybe at a minimum we would say, hey, look to hit this upper standard deviation range right there. It is that's a pretty big spot. So maybe that's not quite the time to break out of it yet. Any other asset, I would say there's a high probability that this would break out. Monero versus Bitcoin, I would have a harder time believing that. This guy right there, the fact that we saw Monero having strength above that lower standard deviation line, or the orange bands, we'll just call them, right inside of this orange bands. The fact that Monero didn't stop right there, and then came back to the downside, it actually poked above. That's actually a sign of strength, right? You would say that's a reasonably good sign of strength. You wouldn't typically, though, you don't want to end up down here again, right? You want to stop halfway down and then keep going. So it's not like super, super strong from the technical analysis, but having that little guy there is a slight point in favor of Monero, but still, I'm gonna say we'll probably cap out in this range and then need at least some consolidation before breaking out. Or maybe we'll do another poke above. The absolute best setup we could hope for would look like that, right? But I just tend to think that that's going to be difficult to do in a bull market. So I do think we're probably looking at a little bull market here, a little continuation of bull market, right? I've been saying that for weeks. This drop was just a liquidation event, right? They just had to wreck the longs, right? You can't have the plebs getting onto the platforms and saying 4-year cycle, and we're coming up and we're gonna do another 2x here, blah blah blah, whatever. Let me go 10x long. You can't have them getting onto these leverage trading, making a shitload of money, and then cashing out their tether at the end of the day, right? And cashing out those longs, because guess what that does? That robs the corporate exchange complex from the real US dollar liquidity that they need, because those people are going to sell into real US dollars. Like those people, like everyone has bills, right? No one is that, no one is that pure except for shortwave. No one is that pure. Everyone's got bills. So they're going to sell. And so those people are going to stop our bull market short of where we could achieve a blow off unless you wreck them. So that's what happened. They got wrecked. Got to wreck those guys so they can't sell, so they can't drain liquidity from the crypto exchange, the corporate crypto exchange complex, which is the way in which they leverage up price of all of the cryptos. Our liquidity is bonded together through the US dollar. Believe it or not, that's just how shit works, guys. I'm just here to tell you how it works. I'm sorry, but that's literally how the corporate exchange complex works. And it's not so apparent necessarily on the face of it, but that is like how things happen in the background. Why do you think they're all so concerned with being compliant? They're all compliant. And there's a good reason for that, because they're bound to the United States dollar through Tether, right? Through Tether. That's one of the main mechanisms that they did that. It was brilliant. They set up a little mini Federal Reserve of crypto called Tether USDT, and it works. And they also they hold bonds now. So a little coffee. Okay, so anyways, Bitcoins, don't worry. They wrecked all the longs. They wrecked the leverage longs, including a few of our own people. And this thing's gonna continue going up, right? Like this is a bull market, and I'll just go over here to look at the Nasdaq to convince yourself, the Nasdaq and the S&P, that yes, this is still a bull market. We have made new all-time highs as of last Friday. We had a nice little pump. It was 2 weeks ago, right, that we had the flash crash on Friday. Trump said something. He said the word tariff online again, or he had a press conference and he wagged his finger at probably Canada or something. Who knows? But it's China. It's always China. And then the markets crashed and they came back. Right. That was just again. That's just the golden age of fraud. But it's not fraud because he's the president by definition. It's not fraud when the president or the Congress or judges do it. They have absolute immunity. It's kind of funny. Government for the people, by the people. We get to vote in who has the right to do fraud on us. I guess that's how democracy works. It's funny because it's so in your face now. Can't be denied, right? That's what democracy is. Anyways, we're in the channel, right? We talked about this for months now. This channel should be believed and respected, and it's strong, guys. This was the getting back into of the channel, right? We're almost there. Oh, can't quite do it. Hey, we're in there and not quite. And now we're like, this thing's gonna pump more, and we're gonna actually be solidly in the channel, and it's gonna continue going up. Like, guys, it's gonna continue going up probably for the whole rest of the Trump presidency. They're gonna keep pushing this higher. Does that mean the Bitcoin bull market will be the whole Trump presidency? Maybe, but not like the kinds of bull markets we've seen before, where it's like 2x on top of 5x gains, right? It's, Bitcoin's going to be that slow and steady upward churner, right? It could take us a while to get there. But that's fine. Again, this is a $4 trillion market cap. Don't expect it to just go crazy, right? Expect it to perform a little bit more like the stock market, with more volatility, of course. But let's do something we haven't done in a little bit. Let's put the regression analysis. Let's overlay that on the chart so that you can get a feel for where we are in terms of the boundary pricing, right? The regression analysis should be considered to be a boundary price. The red and green lines are the cleanest type in terms of the analysis itself. They're the cleanest lines that we have. The blue line is not nearly as clean. The blue line is kind of like you have to do some slightly algorithmic magic to determine where that blue line should be, and even then we don't end up with the kind of normality that you want to see on your statistical checks. So I trust the red and the blue lines more, but the red and the blue lines are not targets, they are boundaries, and there's a difference. You'll notice that that we didn't get all the way to the boundary down here at the bottom. We missed it by about 10%. For a process that moves up and down by 1,000%, right? 10x. That's remarkable to get within 10% out of a process that crashes. In this case, I think it was 80%. That's really good. So anyways, I'm not, that's not something that bothers me. That's just part of the nature of statistics. Like and modeling, you're not always going to nail it. Although we did nail it last time. We nailed the top here within 1%. That was literally on the dot. It was insane how good that was. So this would be our upper boundary. I guess we're looking for that as a target. The good news is that these lines are always rising. So if we believe these lines just in a general sense, we're going to say, hey, maybe if this bull market continues slowly and not, rapidly, maybe it does something like this. Maybe it takes us until, what did I say, the end of the Trump presidency, right? Maybe it's doing this, and maybe by the time the bull market peaks out, it happens somewhere like 270,000, right, in the middle of 2027. I don't know, guys. That's just one way it could play out. I'm just giving you some ideas here, but I do think the 4-year cycle is probably over. If the bull market extends beyond, let's say, January or February, you'll probably hear the word broken. The 4-year cycle has been broken, right? We're breaking out of the 4-year cycle. It's up now. It's time for the $1 million Bitcoin, right? You'll hear all the fucking idiots come out of the woodwork to say all the things, and you'll see all the headlines. And you guys are by now definitely smart enough to to not just buy into that kind of retardation and hype. So let's see. We're on total 3. When will this ever? I guess let's look at total 3 before we go to total. What are the shitcoins doing? Shitcoins look basically like Bitcoin. It's a bullish chart. Maybe it's not as like. Maybe it's not. It's definitely not quite as bullish as the total market cap chart. I guess they're similar. It's funny because Bitcoin by itself doesn't look as bullish as total, and total 3 by itself doesn't look as bullish as Bitcoin. Maybe maybe that was an accidental plug for the Ethereum price. I don't know. Yeah, I know this looks good. Everything's fine. It's still bull market territory. I guess ETH. Let's take a look at ETH. ETH, like when ETH breaks out, guys, ETH is gonna go. Like it hasn't broken out yet. Let's go to the weekly so this is more clear. Right. ETH, yes, it has technically made a new all-time high. It's barely eked out a new tiny all-time high, but that's not the real go time. It's probably the next move when the next time Bitcoin and total starts making new all-time highs, Ethereum will be right there, kind of triple topping, and it'll be go time. The next time that Ethereum starts moving towards the upside, it's going to break out, and we're going to start seeing prices of 6,000-7,000 probably pretty quickly for Ethereum. So I'm not saying it's happening now, but it's probably not that far off. And from there, I bet you we see a pretty significant Ethereum overperformance to Bitcoin, and that will probably eventually drive it'll eventually drive this dominance. Let's turn off. I don't know why I even have the moving averages. The moving averages are in white. They're usually not as useful for us. So what we're looking at here actually it's not actually too surprising. So if I'd have been slightly more astute, I would have said, hey, here's the lower standard deviation on the Bitcoin dominance. And then here is a cluster of blue bands, which you actually, some changes I made to this script have brought out additional features that we couldn't see before. It's not because of the resource constraints of TradingView. This is not entirely straightforward how to optimize the script without waiting for the chart to load forever and having like 20 different indicators here on the left, whatever. Sorry, this is private. I know some people occasionally ask me to have this script, and my answer is always no. This is mine. Sorry, guys. This is one thing that's too valuable for me just to give away. But I'm sharing it here, kind of, right? You could take a look and see what the charts are on a weekly basis. Anyways, yeah, there's sort of this convergence zone right here, which I could have seen and could have been like, hey, you know what? That's actually a spot to think that we're going to have some resistance at this moment. As long as the bull market's on and continuing, we have to assume that the Bitcoin dominance is going to continue dropping, as happens with all of the rest of the bull markets. So there's also like nothing interesting has happened. Like, I don't think anybody except for Bitcoiners actually care about any of the squabbling that they've been doing for the past 2 years now. It was funny at first with the memes, and it was cool and edgy with wizards and shit and JPEGs on Bitcoin. Hal Finney was trying to figure out how to add more JPEGs to Bitcoin back in the day. And now they're just like, you've got cat eaters arguing with statists about like, what's the best way to stop dirty images ending up on Bitcoin? And like they're just out to lunch and nobody cares anymore. The only ones that care are people that are already in Bitcoin, and everyone else is on to other things because it's like their drama is not interesting enough. At least we have Zcash Hitler, right? At least we have Hitler revived supporting Zcash these days. Like we got something interesting going on. Anyways, point here. Let's get back to business. we're talking about the dominance, and this thing, once the bull market resumes, going to do this, and then it's going to break down some more. Probably, again, it's not going to break down post haste. We're not going down to 50, 40, 30 on the dominance. This thing is going to meander on towards the downside over a decent amount of time, especially if this breaks down even just one more time. That's kind of that will be our like final confirmation, because hypothetically here on a much longer timeline, we could still say, hey, the breakdown hasn't really been confirmed yet, right? You could hypothetically try and say maybe it'll do this, right? Maybe you could try and say that, and it's possible, like that's the thing. Bitcoin doesn't need the drama to actually like hold big market cap. You've got BlackRock and Larry Fink, and every boomer knows what the fuck Bitcoin is now, so and they can buy it on the stock market. So like they've got that going for them. But it is still the golden age of fraud, and Bitcoin it's less easy to leverage that fraud, right? The fraud is institutionalized now, and institutionalized fraud doesn't make as much money as new fraud. So that's why the dominance chart has to go down. You can quote me on that, whatever retarded quote that sounded like that I just said. There's definitely a little bit of retardation and a little bit of genius in that quote. Okay, Monero doing better than everyone else in terms of its Z-scores, and somehow Binance Chain, ironically, Binance Chain also doing well. Let's see, Tron has taken a tumble in terms of its Z-scores. Yeah, everyone's still kind of trying to figure out how to get back up and dust themselves off from the liquidation event. But as we've talked about before, Monero's not really on the exchanges. It's harder to create this big cascading liquidation. It's also harder to do that when you don't have any Monero on your exchange to sell short onto the market. There's only so much downside that you can force, and typically it's a lie. It's a big fat lie that has to correct like almost immediately if you want to at all pretend like you're open for withdrawals. So Monero gains a little bit of points there in these liquidation events. For usually it'll go down the same amount, if not more, but it'll come right back. Like our wicks are much faster. They're measured in terms of hours, whereas as opposed to days. So that's kind of a good thing. Let's see. We didn't check the divergences. Nothing going on with divergences. CoinEx though had a little problems for, what was that? It was actually on Monday. On Monday. Yeah, so I guess everything looks fine here. Everything looks normal except for CoinEx. I don't know, for whatever reason, decided to go minus 3% for a period of time on Monday this week. Okay, whatever. Let's see, anything else here that we need to look at on the big picture crypto? I don't think so. I think we basically covered it. Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Probably no one here cares that much about that. It is a little bit of a bellwether in my mind. I mean, Ethereum does everything that Bitcoin does and better. It should have a higher market cap. It never will actually flip. The value is at the endpoints, not necessarily on the platform, right? The platform itself already flipped Bitcoin. Like Ethereum hosts more value than Bitcoin hosts. Like it's in that sense, it already has flipped in Bitcoin. If you include all of the value that trades on top of Ethereum, like Tether and USDC and DAI and gold peg tokens, of which I believe there are two major ones. All right, PaxG and then the Tether Gold. And then all kinds of other stuff, right? So like Ethereum already flipped Bitcoin in the sense that it hosts more value, but that doesn't mean that Ethereum is going to accrue all of that value, right? It has to share that with all the other things on its platform. So, and it also apparently has to share that with Sol now, which we've talked about before. We don't need to look at Bitcoin versus anything. Let's look at the Monero hash rate. Sitting here about 5 gigas, pretty consistent, not doing too much different. Monero transaction count. I don't know if I've reloaded this page. Yeah, okay. So Monero transaction count is about the same as always, 25,000, centered right around 25,000. So that's what crypto looks like. Let's look at the privacy shitcoins. Monero or Zcash. Yeah, I mean Zcash has a nice little pennant there. As far as they were concerned, there was no crash, which is another way you can tell that this price is being propped up. This is not, again, as we all know, this is not organic buying. The people didn't come in there and say, oh, it's time to buy Zcash now and not Bitcoin, or Zcash now and not some other, any of the other coins out there. So this is just them. Again, they just want the corporate cabal. And for those of you that haven't, that are new, maybe people say, well, why? Why do they love Zcash and hate Monero? Why do they hate Monero so much? There's a number of reasons. One of them is ASICs. Monero has kicked out ASICs repeatedly and Bitmain. So Zcash, 70% of the hash power is owned by a single ASIC miner, by a single ASIC mining pool. And it's all ASIC mined in Zcash. So they got a shitload of it for free, right? The ASICs cabal, they got paid off. And ASICs cabal is basically synonymous with the corporate exchange complex. It's no accident that Coinbase and all these other exchanges came around. Their advent happened right around the time that ASICs took control of the Bitcoin ecosystem. They got control of the supply. Half of it was lost from the early days anyways, like that, maybe even more, right? At least 25% of the Bitcoin supply, somewhere between 20 and 25% is just fucking lost. It's gone forever because people didn't know how to keep their keys back in the day. So half that early coin is just gone. And then ASICs came along, centralized the supply, and they needed a way to distribute that onto all of the new plebs for the libertarian revolution that was coming in Bitcoin. And so that's what they did, right? And so all the other coins, all these ASIC mine coins like Zcash, they have a big fat supply, and they want to sell you the coin they printed with ASICs or for free. Monero never allowed ASICs. It was GPU, and then now it's CPU. So if you wanted Monero, you had to mine honestly, and there was, there wasn't a big pre-mine, right? All the other coins with their pre-mine or their insta-mine, like, oh, whoops, we had a mistake in our algorithm and we mined 25% of the entire supply that will ever exist in 2 days. Oh, whoops. We won't relaunch though because the community doesn't want us to. Quote unquote community. Sure, guys. So that happened with a few coins actually. And so why do they hate Monero? They didn't get any of it for free, and they don't have fat stacks of it. They don't even have enough to meet the withdrawal demands on their exchanges. Like they're fractionally reserved out the ass. So that's why you have this corporate ecosystem that just doesn't like Monero. They want to sell you their fucking Israeli mined DARPA Air Force Research Lab Deep State Intel Agency coin, right? Like that's what they want to sell you, that they got for free. Like, listen, the tech is cool. ZK snarks are cool. If optional ZK snarks, if optional ZK privacy snarks are the way to go, then I would just use Tornado Cash or whatever privacy option exists. It's just snarks exist in a number of places on a number of chains. Like, why would I go into Zcash to get an optional snark when I could just fucking do it on a contracts platform? I could already do that, or I could just use Monero because everyone already accepts it. So anyways, Zcash, fuck you, your price is fake, and we know that you're just a cabal of DCG and Brian Armstrong and other corporate exchanges, the Gemini brothers, etc. And you guys have fat stacks, which you have given a decent, nice portion of to influencers, and we know that you're just creating a competition to Monero because you really hate Monero. Fuck's sake, guys. It's funny how the very exchanges that allegedly serve the crypto industry are, in fact, antithetical to the principles on which crypto was founded. So whatever. Pirate Chain is looking at some resistance here. This is the long-term. This is a big long-term upper standard deviation line. It'll probably keep going, right? This is probably not the end for Pirate Chain here. I bet you they're gonna hit this line. If you're a Pirate Chain hodler out there, you might even get lucky. And let's go to the 2-day here. You'll probably find yourself somewhere here, right, at this guy. That's a massive sell point. If you don't sell at that level, right around like 1.1, if you're not selling at these upper standard deviation bands here, I'm sorry, no one can help you, and may God have mercy on your soul. But that's the place to fucking take profits and or try to get back whatever it is you lost 4 years ago. Xano chart. Xano actually not looking. Hasn't done super great relative to anything else lately, but this isn't the worst chart pattern either. So it could, this thing could plausibly get some upside. Yeah, Xano could definitely get some more upside here. It doesn't mean it's going to immediately. It'll probably bounce with everything else. Will it actually break out and make the next big move up? I don't know. Probably not quite ready for that yet. Let's see, Cubic just exploring the bottom of its range here. If we get a renewal on the bull market, they'll probably find a way to make Cubic get some pumpage, and that will put us into the zone for them to be doing selfish mining attacks again, right? Because they can rent the hash power that they need. Probably one of the things they're doing is when they get to some certain threshold, they say, okay, we can flex up, we can bump up here, we can buy the hash power that we need temporarily to get ahead of a few blocks, get ahead by a few blocks. and then try and push our luck there, and then see if we can't reorg the chain. They still have to pay miners. They have to bribe miners, right, to do that. So they need a higher price to do that. That's part of their mechanism. So yeah, as long as the bull market is on, guys, expect that Cubic is going to try and hang in there. I consider them a proxy for those same corporate assholes we talked about a second ago. I consider Cubic their own little proxy, or some kind of dirty, dark deal was done in the background that we don't know about. Doesn't matter. Maybe it was a wink and a nod, right? Maybe they never shared a cigar in a back room together. Because, these guys, a lot of times, all you need is wink and a nod. But the point is that Cubic needs maybe around this area right here. Probably that moving average area is probably right where they need. So if they get back up to that level, and that's what we've seen. We've seen them when they're above this level, they tend to do, or when they're around this level, they tend to kick on their selfish mining attacks. So, all right, guys, that's crypto. That's what crypto looks like today. Let's take a look at the macro, and then we can sign off. So let's look at gold. Gold had a tumble. This is normal. I guess that. Oh, Jesus. Okay, that's 8%. That's a pretty significant drop. 8% is a pretty big drop for gold. But considering that's after a 31% move towards the upside, that's still pretty good. I do. If this thing keeps going, then we're fundamentally in just a different place. We're not. Let me just mute these right here. That's going to be confusing for people. Gold has gone significantly beyond my model, right? Gold has definitely outperformed my model to a significant degree, to the tune of about 25%. Usually when things break my models, they break them by a reasonable amount and then regression to the mean. And in which case, the edge of the boundary of the model now becomes the new mean. Once you break a model like that, usually it'll become like that boundary becomes a new sort of average place to hang out. So I really am genuinely looking for a return at some point to the boundary of that model. If we see that happen, then know that gold's run is basically over. It's not over. It's just that don't expect it to do another one of these guys. I'm not saying that it won't. I'm just saying that if it comes back down to the model area and then starts doing some oscillations, that's probably a sign that it is actually time for gold to take a back seat. We'll have to look at the rest of the market and the rest of the macro as the time comes and as time passes. We'll have to look at that, and I know it's a bit wishy-washy. I'm always nervous and hesitant to buy things that have gone up. I can't do it. I can't chase guys. The problem is that intuitively the risk tolerance is not there. If you buy something, when there's blood in the streets, if you buy something when it's crashed a lot, you're like, all right, at least, maybe it could crash more, but at least I've got some of that crash out of the way. But right here, you're saying, hey, is this the top? I don't know. We just had a big move down in gold, and it's not terrible. Like on a big bull market, this is what you would expect to see, right? You expect to see some pullbacks. This thing, for all I know, will resume breaking my model, and I hope that it does. But it might not. So just know that I'm kind of in uncharted territories. I don't have a whole lot of good references for what gold does next. I don't have a way to say how high is it going to go. The only thing that we might do is try and compare gold against, the S&P. We might try and compare gold versus silver, right? We might try and look at gold versus silver and say, hey, where were previous levels that it has done, and is there a trend there? Yes, we might try and draw like this line, right? So maybe if we started hitting this line again, we might try to say, hey, here's a chance that gold versus silver ratio is bottoming out, and that'll be the top of the gold market, right? That's a possibility, because silver, like honestly, silver hasn't really even run compared to what you would expect in a real gold bull market. You would expect silver to outperform by another 50%, right? So all other factors being equal, you would look at silver, which is right here. You would look at silver and you would say, hey, there is another 2x to run in price. In other words, for silver to drop 50% relative to gold, silver would need to pump by 100% in its US dollar price. I know that feels weird in terms of verbal mathematics, but that's how percentages work. So silver here would need to pump to basically $100 to actually hit those levels on the gold versus silver chart. And that wouldn't be too terribly surprising, to be honest. Let's take a look at the monthly on silver. Triple topping. It's not a triple top. I don't believe in Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny or triple tops. So, but silver does need maybe a moment to consolidate. That's kind of what it looks like. Let's go here. Yeah, so I mean, this is not surprising. We actually talked about this. We said, hey, actually, the most bullish scenario for silver would be to break through that that sort of horizontal rising resistance, almost horizontal rising resistance, right? It would be best to break through that and then consolidate above it and then start going again. Okay, it broke through it and it's consolidating below it. That's fine. You just want to see it break through again, in which case it'll be off to the races. Probably $100 is a pretty solid silver target. That would be nice. I might actually have some real money in silver at that point. For real. My silver bars will be ready to, I don't know, trade for land or something. Who knows? Okay. Anything here? Oh, we were talking about what else could we look at to try and divine when the end of the gold bull market might be happening. Right now, maybe this is just a little bit of resistance in the moving average cluster. Let's zoom in on that a little bit more. That way, this wouldn't be called like a major, like huge resistance area. It is kind of a resistance area. So, but you would kind of expect to probably beat that. Realistically, at some point, you expect to get back into this zone, but they're such fuckery. There's so much, like, they do so much fuckery with gold, and they suppress it, and they pump the stock market so much. Like, they've made it really, again, chart bias, right? If you're going to do technical analysis, you have to understand the bias of the chart. And the bias on this chart is down, right? The bias of gold versus stocks, particularly the S&P, that bias is down. And we know the mechanisms for that, right? They've got their gold suppression schemes, their fractional reserve, and they print the money. So they decide where that new money goes first. And gold has to get the hand-me-down liquidity after the fact. But there's not all as well in paradise right now, and they're going to try and revolution the country or civil war the country or whatever. Who the fuck knows? But I'm probably not even going back to the States for some period of time until all of that shit blows over. I'm definitely not on their good boy list, that's for sure. Anyways, yeah, so okay, there's gold. Let's take a look at the rest of the macro. Dollar index. No, wait, that's US Mexican. Dollar index here is stable. It's not doing anything. It's not pumping, right? Again, so it's kind of like we saw the oil crash and we saw the Trump tariff crash, and we're like, yeah, but the rest of the macro looks fine, including the dollar index. This thing is just stable as fuck. So it's just sitting here doing nothing. That's good. That's what we want to see. You don't want to see the dollar index spiking. At this point, we don't even want to see it crashing. We don't want to see it dropping, because that would kind of, if the dollar index were to start just crashing down below this massive trend line from decades, like almost 2 decades now, if it were to start crashing, that's actually kind of a bad sign that we're going to see inflation coming back. And yeah, the markets will pump. You'll get your blow off top, but who's going to sell it in time? Probably nobody, because people are really bad at selling tops. Okay, the reverse repos at the floor, 2 billion, doing nothing. Everyone's leveraged. Everyone's into the market. The risk money is on. Why would you be in reverse repos? The rates are coming down, right? No one wants to be in reverse repos when Jay Powell has told us that he's going to be lowering rates. I don't know when their next meeting is, actually. Let's take a look here. Federal Reserve. What are we? 2025. Scrolling down. October. Oh, so this week. Next week we have a Federal Reserve meeting coming up. I don't know what the sentiment is about whether they're going to drop rates again or not. Let's take a look. The bond market should actually be telling us. It is kind of moving towards the downside. So I bet you it's kind of up in the air. I bet you we don't really know.
According to what I understand, the possibility of them dropping rates is somewhere in the 80s or 90s, according to the betting markets.
Oh shit! Okay, thank you for plugging that gap. All right, well that makes some sense, right? We are seeing these bonds. The rates have moved gently towards the downside, but this is not a crashing kind of scenario. So the rates they're stable, right? Everything's fine. There's plenty in terms of the pattern, right? In terms of the patterns we've noticed, this thing can stair step down, right? They can stair step this thing down over time, and they can extend this into next year. And at some point, we don't know when, but at some point, it's just going to be like, oh shit, and that's going to happen, right? And that'll be the end of the bull market. And the thing is, everyone knows about this pattern by now, so like it happens simultaneously with the crash. But at least it helps us to identify, hey, this isn't the real crash, right? This is not the crash you're looking for. And then you don't sell your bags before new gains are on the way, right? So we looked at the bond market 2 weeks ago and said, hey, everything's fine here. There's no reason to sell your bags. There's no reason to panic. Oil has recovered somewhat back to that $61 range. It's crazy that it's crazy the way that they can goose these markets, but oil got down to those lows, the $55 lows in the Trump tariff scare crash recently, mini crash recently. And the rest of the market shrugged it off. So I think everyone's kind of realizing that's another thing markets learn. So everyone's kind of realizing, hey, when Trump opens his mouth about tariffs, he's going to reverse his position soon. So that's probably actually just an opportunity to buy some more. That'll be true until the moment that it's not, maybe. I would be more concerned right now about whether or not they intend to civil war the country. They probably don't really intend to civil war the country. They probably intend to like maybe fake civil war the country and try and spark the violence and try and have some excuse to continue the thuggery. Like, I know we got groypers out there. Probably they don't listen too much to my price report because they all hate me now. But groypers, they're coming for you next. I know you don't fucking realize it, but they're coming for you next. And you're like half of you, not all of you, but half of you are cheering on this standing army that they're deploying and normalizing. And they've effectively already removed posse comitatus, which was probably only nominal anyways, right? I mean, there was a civil war and we're still in forced reunification. So it is a belligerent status, although that doesn't rise to the surface very much. Like, you basically never see that in official jurisprudence, but the entire thing is still belligerent status. And it's only like it's becoming more belligerent now. And they always the North always reserved, the Union always reserved the right to deploy the feds to wherever fucking state that they want, to bring people in line with whatever it is they want. But the reality is, groypers, the reality is that if you really want to remove the illegals, you could do this with due process. You don't need to deploy a standing army to the states to be so violent and overt about it, right? So if your claim is that, well, this is just the means to the end, no, this is the end. That thuggery on U.S. streets by the feds being deployed into cities in the United States, that is the end. That is the reason, because they could just do it using regular legal procedures, right? They could do all of that within the scope of established law without being totally dicks about it. So this is not just a means to an end. It is the end. The thuggery is the point, and they're coming for you next. So I hope that y'all will realize that, it's not, you don't need to worry about the people dealing marijuana and fentanyl. I know you guys don't like it, and maybe weed's not the best drug. Maybe drugs are bad. Okay. But I'll tell you who the biggest drug pushers are, right? It's the guys that tried to lock you in your house and force you to take a vaccine. Those are the drug pushers that need to be extrajudicially taken care of. No, just kidding. They should be judicially taken care of, right? You should do the due process, and you should make a big show of it. That's not going to happen. Those are their friends, right? So anyways, you might even find that if we ever dealt with all of the actual criminals in the corporate governmental apparatus, maybe the brown people wouldn't matter quite so much. Maybe it'd be like, well, actually, it's not a big deal. Everything's actually relatively fine. Maybe we don't have to be so racist anymore, right? You might actually come to that conclusion if we had a society that was based on fairness and justice, right? And we had a monetary system that wasn't just raping and pillaging the economic financial system. Anyways, back to price report. Just a little. I don't want to hate on you groypers, but guys, y'all can't just because some institution, some politicians do something that you kind of like doesn't mean that you should. They're not your. That doesn't mean they're your friends. Okay. What are we looking at here? I think it looks like we got another bump up on the. Yeah. Okay, this is a daily chart. Yeah, there was a bump up here. How did that liquidity bump so much? The green is the United States liquidity, so that did take another bump up. That's a sign of more gains to come, right? Like we said, the bull market's not over. All right, government's still shut down, so I doubt we have any any numbers, any new numbers?
We
I
did
don't
get
see anything.
CPI.
Okay, yeah, this chart was feeling slightly different. Nothing surprising here, I guess. If this stays at 3%, that's fine. It's that'll be kind of the new normal. Slightly more. We had 2% inflation for the aughts, right? For the decade post 2008, right? We had 2% inflation, roughly speaking. Now I guess we'll have 3% inflation. That's not terribly more, but hey, that is the golden age of fraud. They're going to steal 3%, 50%. They're going to steal 50% more with inflation now. In a lot of ways, that probably can't even be avoided. A lot of that money might already exist out there in the ether, and it just has to inflate. Who knows? That's kind of the thing, that the trick that they played for a long time, and people are aware of it now. It's like they print a bunch of money, it goes into certain places. You don't see the inflation in ordinary goods and services, and then that comes later, right? Inflation doesn't happen symmetrically across markets. It happens highly asymmetrically, but eventually it filters out. And so because of that, it was easy to make people feel like inflation wasn't tied directly to monetary policy, the Federal Reserve and the banks. And now we know better. Anyways, yeah, I guess that's it, guys. That's all I got to show you this week. Nothing else here really going on. Overall summary: bull market's still on. Monero is probably getting ready to break out. Bitcoin and crypto is also probably getting ready to resume some kind of uptrend here in the not distant future, even next week. Like, I would not be surprised to see some nice gains and recovery next week on cryptos. So that's it, and I'll hand it back over to Doug and Shortwave.
Exciting. You got some super chats here, Monero chats. Let's see. Amortel tipped 7 cents. Can you take a look at Firo?
Sure thing. Let's see here. We had Firo pulled up, but we didn't really address it. Yeah, let's open this chart. I guess this is looking not quite like a pennant, but it has a similar feel as a Zcash chart, where it had a big, it came up towards the upside, and then it's doing this guy right here. Let's go to a shorter time frame, actually. Yeah, this is just consolidation. It had a big move. It came to a local standard deviation cluster, so that's kind of where you would expect to get some resistance. If this thing starts moving up and doing that, you should probably expect some kind of breakout to happen, to continue. Guys, it really could be the case that if the bull market resumes and all those fears are like alleviated, and everyone says, "Oh yeah, it was just a little pullback," right, and things move back up here again, expect, especially the alts, that'll be their next opportunity to pump. And I think this next one will tell us, are we in a bull market for ants, or is it a real bull market, right? Are we like in a strong bull market? Are we going to see a real alt season, right? What is this? An alt season for ants? Can't even get below 50% dominance. This next one will tell the tale, guys. If you see shit and you don't see alts gaining in this next rebound, whenever it happens here in the next, let's say, 1 to 3 weeks, then we'll know that it's going to be tough to get your altcoin gains at that point. But there's still hope. There's still hope. So
yeah, no, I think it's it seems like it's moving in that direction. But that's me just using my Tumen sense, not sharding anything.
Tumen sense. It's time. You got to man. You got to change the name from Monero Talk to Tumen sense.
We got another one here. AK Anon tipped $2.03. The gold-backed exchange will return with lessons learned. Bring more gold backs, Bawdy. Can you comment on the implications of THORChain adding XMR? Some personal speculation on the macro.
Let's see. Bring more gold. I don't have any gold backs to bring, bro. But
I think he meant that
he's
bringing.
He's going to bring them.
Yeah.
I'll come ready to buy some 50 and 100 spots off you.
Damn.
For sure. Okay, let's see. And then, THORChain. The implications of THORChain are great. It's in a social sense, right? That's a really good thing. I find myself wanting to go to other things other than, like cash or Bitcoin. So in terms of like Ritu swap, and I know Ritu's, supposed to offer other coins, but there's not really much liquidity there. And THORChain is like popular, right? It's more popular at least. So that it can only be a good thing in terms of attention and acceptance and integration. And the easier it is to get from Monero to other stuff, the better that's just going to be in general. It'll be harder to suppress Monero's price, the more liquidity that we have on other exchanges. Once our liquidity on all of these dexes is significantly above anything that the centralized exchanges could hope to have, it's game over for their price suppression. That's when we win. Now they have to. Now their price gets forced to what happens on the DEX. They are forced to peg their price to what happens on the DEX. And yeah, there's still going to be people using the centralized exchange, and yeah, they can still absorb some fractional reserve component there. But the more those DEXs get used, guys, the more we win. So,
what do you think about THORChain itself? Did you have you checked that out? It seems like
I don't know exactly what their mechanisms are. I know they've been pwned before. I know they were worried about the regulatory arena, and maybe they weren't entirely wrong to be worried about that. I mean, they are kind of a centralized set of guys providing this exchange, and so but seems like the regulatory is fine now, pretty much. I don't really know the details of their project in terms of how sound it is technologically.
Yeah, I had JP on Thursday. Recommend you go give him a listen, and maybe I could get another THORChain guy up on Monerotopia at some point, and we. Can,
I would like an impartial, disinterested, technically competent party to take an evaluation.
Oh,
which hypothetically could be me if I just ever would go look at their implementation. But
what do you think of THORChain's chart? I mean, it's at like rock bottom prices right now.
Oh, really?
Once again, this isn't the chart is speaking. This is the Tumen sense. Seems like it has good potential to run. Obviously,
Thor, what's the I guess Thor USDT. It's probably what we want to look at.
Rune. It's called Rune.
Oh,
yeah. Sure. Or THORChain. I think it should pop up.
Wait, no, but there's Rune, but there's also runes on.
No,
there's
THORChain
also runes on Bitcoin.
Yeah, no, it's not runes. It's different.
All right. Yeah, that is pretty low price. Let's put on some wave magic and see what happens there.
Well, what is this right now?
It's terrible.
What chart is this?
This is Rune USDT on Binance since 2021. Is that the right time frame? Maybe that's an inflation problem.
I don't think that's the right chart.
In terms of their market cap,
no, that doesn't look like.
This is their market. This is the market cap chart of Rune, crypto cap Rune.
No, I don't think that's right. That's not right. I don't think that's not THORChain.
I mean, here's what comes up. Here it says THORChain. All right, that's what we're looking at. Rune USD. Okay. No, that was the right chart. Yeah.
So it's showing it at like 80 cents. It's at 80 cents right now.
Yeah, this is what you call breakdown. Like in a technical sense for this chart, I would be looking at this and saying this has got more downside. Like unfortunately for them, because here's what happens: you come to this lower standard deviation band, very very common pattern, right? So they had their bull market. Things came down. They set the lower standard deviation band, and they didn't return to it. And then they returned to it in 2025, and now they can't. They should actually. Normally you would come back up here, but they couldn't do that. Instead, they broke down. They broke down significantly. And so now the next thing you want to see is they're going to do this right here. They'll end up touching the underside of that lower standard deviation band as it curls under, and then it'll fall further. So that could, this could be a longer time frame. Maybe it could do that, right? And then maybe it won't be till next year till they actually break down. But in a technical sense, this is a very not good pattern for their price chart. So. But that might not have anything to do with the quality of their platform, right? Just because the platform price doesn't go up doesn't mean that the platform isn't useful.
Right. For sure. I mean, it does look like when you look at the lifetime chart of Thor. So it had a market cap of 5 billion at some point when it was like really revving, and the amount of volume that's been swapped through THORChain definitely took a hit, and with that was the price. So I mean, it seems like the thesis would be is if they could get the volume, more people using THORChain, price will start to go up again. Simple, just real simple.
Is their
way of
token a
looking at it.
necessity of chain of swap usage? Like, do you need Thor to do a swap?
Yeah. So it's like Sarai Dex. So the swap happens using Thor. And then additionally, they burn. It's actually deflationary because they burn Thor off the profits from that are made from the trades.
I mean, we'd also have to look at how centralized is their supply. A highly centralized supply, especially for if they're not corporately associated, like with the exchanges, then there's going to be no one. If they have centralized supply, there's going to be no one to prop up their price for them. I'm not saying that's what's happening. I have no idea. And this isn't a terrible chart. I mean, in terms of like
Is
they
that
had
the all-time? If you do all-time market cap chart,
I mean, I think that's what this is. So you go
why does
crypto.
it look so?
I mean, because THORChain didn't really come around until 2019. Like that's the beginning of its chart. But yeah, if you want to find the longest chart that you can for pretty much any crypto, you do crypto and then you look at the asset. You're looking for THORChain. Yeah. I mean, so this is it. Right?
Okay. And that's the same. Okay.
It's the same chart. This is 2019. It looks like their first prices were in July of 2019. And just trying to remember in my brain going back that far, that feels about right. That's about when I first started hearing rumblings of THORChain.
2019.
Yeah. So this probably is the full chart.
Like 2020. It hit like 5 billion in like 2021 market cap. And now it's at like a $30 million, right? Market cap or something. Yeah.
Let's take a look. Rune. So this is the market cap chart.
Now it's at a 300 million market cap. Okay.
Yeah, that's 5 billion and oh wow. Man, that is pretty low, but maybe you don't need.
That's what I'm saying. Like, how much more can it bottom out? And it's, it has real utility, right? You look at it like a lot of these cryptos that are ahead of it in market cap are just competing to be something on a speculative basis. But this is like, it's actually used quite a bit, even with its drop in volume. From some of the issues they had. They had some major issue. They had some feature essentially where you could do lending and it went catastrophically wrong. And that's when they really had the crash, but then they since fixed that. But as like the concept of liquidity, it's what Luke is building, right? It's using liquidity pools for doing, cross-chain swaps. So there's definitely like a project will win that space. Thor was literally the first to ever do it. Hat was the biggest. Still is. I guess you have things like Hyperlink or something but they're built a little differently. Hyperliquid. I
get the impression that people for the most part, just use instant swap exchanges. They either use regular exchanges or the instant swap exchanges.
Yeah, but I think that's going away, right? I think eventually, this model is going to be the one that's going to take over in time, right?
Eventually, but there's also kind of like, there's a sort of like front facing, the corporate face of crypto exchanges, and they're compliant and regulatory compliant. And then I have to believe that a very similar group of people are also behind these instant swap exchanges. And part of that is, well, people are going to find a way, and we don't want them going to DEXs. So let's not attack the instant swap exchanges too much. Let's kind of let them exist on the regulatory edges. And as long as they're still cooperating with the chain analysis, we won't push them too hard on the other stuff. And who knows how many backroom deals have been done with regulators and other corporate entities so that they can still get their hands on the data that they want and need for tracking and tracing. Because what happens if all of that goes to DEXs where they can't force a turnover of information, force a surrender of information in cooperation with chain analysis, right? So they might actually, exactly. So what I'm saying is that I'm not saying it's not going to happen. I'm just saying, because I do believe it will happen eventually, but it's an uphill battle to get everyone onto DEXs when the instant swap exchanges are more or less working for the vast majority of people. You know what I'm saying?
I will say, I doubt you did, but have you tried the Zashi wallet?
I should, I guess, but no, I have not.
You should give it a try. lessons to be learned there for Monero. Obviously, we have Cake Wallet, we have Edge, we have Monero. They're all doing great things. Cake does a great job with the instant exchanges built in there. But Zashi is very slick and sexy and streamlined with near intents built into it, which is essentially another form of a decentralized exchange. It's not, a centralized instant swap. And it is as slick as using any traditional centralized instant exchange. And you're swapping Litecoin into Zcash or whatever it is, any other crypto into Zcash, happening somewhat instantaneously in a few clicks. You didn't give up any information. You don't have to worry about shotgun KYC. There's really no difference between that and using an instant exchange. Like, it's even like arguably slicker the way Zashi did it. So I don't know. I think these things are really going to compete. I guess the primary difference is the rate, right? Like, can you compete on the rate? Because there are some advantages with being centralized. But I think over time, if the liquidity pools get large enough, like, wouldn't that be where you'd end up getting your best rate anyway?
It's about convenience. If something is convenient, then people will use that solution. Like the masses.
Right. So what I'm saying is I'm seeing these things being as convenient as instant exchanges. Like, if you go on Zashi and you use it, it's as convenient as using an instant exchange on Cake, right?
Maybe, but then you have to download another wallet. So, like, right now, if I go to truckador.app, I can switch from Monero to whatever I want, or whatever I want to Monero. I don't have to download, install into the program, or anything like that.
Yeah, exactly. You need to be able to go to a website and then just like, hey, what's your website? Oh, cool. Let me swap on this website.
But I don't have that wallet, Doug.
We need.
Oh, okay. Well, so THORChain has that. It's like swap.THORChain or something, but it's basically. It's literally an instant exchange.
You need an add-on, right? You need a Mozilla add-on and a Chromium add-on. That just install the add-on, right, and done, right? You need all of the above, right? You need an app, you need the website, you need the add-on, and it all accesses the same thing, and that's how you get liquidity. And then you need, obviously, your prices that actually need to be as good as or better than the instant swap exchanges. And then your occasional large, your occasional whale and dolphin out there need to be able to swap 50 grand, 100 grand, $500,000 on your exchange, and just that liquidity needs to be seamless, right? It needs to be like, hey, I fucking had to do 5 different transfers and I got hit 5% every single time. Like, all of those things have to be done. Like, if you want to beat the instant swap exchanges, when all of those things are in place, then we win. But until then, people will just use instant swap exchanges. Like, they'll still be in big competition. And then you still need the time frame, right? It takes time for that liquidity to eventually switch over. So you do need that. You do need that the time for that change to happen.
Here, let me. Why can't I bring up my screen? I guess because.
Should I stop sharing?
Yeah. If you can stop sharing, I guess. Yeah. Okay.
Oh, by the way, it is likely that ReToswap is going to hit 50 trades per day this month.
Nice. What's the total liquidity there?
Last time I just checked Haveno.markets here recently, and it was like 10,600 Monero.
Nice. Okay. Per day?
Oh no, that was total in the order books right now.
No, it's daily volume is what matters.
Oh, I'm not sure. I'd have to look.
I guess 10,000 Monero on the order books, like currently on the order books, that's pretty good. I'm sure there's a lot of like high ball, low ball. I need to integrate that into the price report here. I really do.
Yeah, the site I was using was Haveno.markets.
Yeah, because every time I go to markets, every time I go to ReToswap, they don't have like. It's an interesting. That's an interesting way for that chart to load. Okay, yeah, let's take a look. Liquidity 700. So I guess that would be. I'm sorry, bro, but I'm going to convert this into dollars. that is about 3 million. Do I have that right? Yeah, that's about $3.5 million of liquidity currently in the markets. We need to see the Oh, I'm not sharing. Okay,
Oh yeah,
that's
yeah.
fine.
Get your screen up. Well, you don't. Yeah. If you.
Oh, you
have
wanted to
put it
show
up again.
something, right?
No, it's okay. You can bring it up.
All right.
I was just showing the instant exchange.
All right, I'm sharing now.
Damn.
Yeah. So what we need is the depth chart. Oh, they got an I2P link too. That's awesome.
Oh yeah, the depth chart is only on Retoswap itself. I don't know of a way to access that other than through the actual software.
Every time that I go to Retoswap, though, there's not, the chart isn't updated. Excuse me.
Oh, the website doesn't have the depth chart on it. You actually have to bring up the actual program itself.
Yeah, you've got to install the. Yeah, I don't have it installed in this environment, so not the simplest for me to. My entire system is segregated. It's like cubes, but for FreeBSD. So everything I have is like all my windows, my screens are all segregated. I actually got it to where, like, I don't know if you know anything about X11, but your X11 windows can all see each other and spy on each other. And I actually managed to separate all of them so that they can't see each other. I pay for that with a little bit of inconvenience. But yeah, you got to download the client, install it to actually see the depth chart here. But it would be nice, guys. I don't know, Retoswap. Listen, guys, it would be really good if you could get on here and have an interactive web app that just like, okay, you're not going to trade with it, but at least you can see what Retoswap, is doing. Kind of like how we saw, on the Haveno markets here, right? Like that would be nice to have that on the Retoswap site. Along with the depth market or Haveno markets or Haveno.markets, whoever runs this site, wouldn't be a bad thing to add a depth chart to this site as well, because that matters. That matters a lot for certain people, right? If you're trading over, let's just say $10,000, you need to know what your depth looks like. But then again, just install the app, right? That's the answer there if you really need to see that. So, all right, I'll stop sharing. Doug, you had something, right?
Alrighty. No, it's okay. I was just gonna bring up the Thor swap. Here, I can bring it up real quick. Hold up. Where is it? I think this is it. No. Beep. Oh, okay. Wait, hold on. Gotta go to Thor swap. Is it up? No. Oh my god. Hold on, guys.
Yeah, honestly, the Thor ecosystem is something I know very, very little about. Like, I know of its existence, but I don't know very much about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was paying attention to it a little bit back in the day when they were first considering adding Monero, and I was excited about the idea of this decentralized swap protocol using liquidity pools for cross-chain swaps. They were the first to do cross-chain swaps with liquidity pools. So it's an exciting concept, and it certainly works. But yeah, so I mean, effectively, it's like going to an instant exchange. So there it is, THORSwap. It's very similar. Currently, you have to connect wallets, but that's going to change. That's going to go away. So it'll be as the equivalent of using an instant exchange in terms of like usability and user experience. So, yeah. All right, guys. Thank you, Bawdy. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Doug.
Yeah, excited for the coming weeks. It does sound like the bull market is still in play, although I guess if all of us keep saying that, it no longer will be. So we shall see what happens. Did we get all the oh, somebody sent the tip. XMR tipped 3 cents. It'd be fun if you guys streamed the Xeno Vlad talk and live commented. When is that happening? Right now?
No, they did it like earlier this week, like maybe Tuesday or something. Yeah. I like Xenu. I wish he.
No,
had
I don't
taken,
think they. I don't think they had the conversation yet. Zeno was
They-
with Joel. Joel. No, he's saying with
Oh.
Vlad.
Okay, no, you're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't feel
Um,
like I didn't feel like Xenu took, and I like Xenu. He's a good guy, and I like the anti-Moon Boy. Like that's a good perspective, and he generally has based takes. But I didn't feel like he took Joel to task enough. It was more like a kumbaya of the, of how we're all gonna, we're all gonna make it, and I guess that's fine too. But he was like,
I have to
been a lot
go
of-
back and listen because that's usually not his brand, right? That'd be like something I would do.
yeah.
I thought he'd be more of on the a little bit more confrontational. But yeah, I think that's fine though, right? You don't think that's the path forward? Why? You think there was some dishonesty there?
No, I don't think there's any dishonesty there. I mean, well, with Joel, yes, I see him posting nonsense all the time, and he's obviously like he appears to be sponsored by different people. Like I don't know, I just like he doesn't post honestly about Monero. He was one of the guys that posted about the 51% attack and never really came back and made a very public correction about how wrong he was about that. Things like that. And I was kind of hoping that Xenu would, in a polite way, but hey, you got these things wrong, and you've been saying X, Y, and Z, and those are just wrong. Like, why are you saying those things? Like, you should stop saying those things. And here's the real, like, we didn't see a lot of that. I was hoping Xenu would be given more pushback, right?
Yeah,
Polite pushback, but pushback nonetheless.
Well,
You
may have opportunity to do just that because I am trying to get him to participate in Monerotopia. So that should be fun.
I mean, unless he wants to have a debate, I'm not going to go up to Joel and find him and
No,
point
well,
his
you won't
finger at
have
his
to look far because I think he's going to be one of the hosts. He's going to be one of the hosts of Monerotopia.
chest. Why are you going to have a guy like Joel hosting? Like, you mean the MC?
Yeah, he's gonna partake in being an MC. Yeah,
Joel or
Why,
Vlad?
You're Joel. Vlad did it last year. Vlad
What?
has since excommunicated himself from the Monero community.
Why would you have a guy like Joel do that, man? He's like he's not friendly to Monero. He only pretends to be friendly to Monero. Like, there are so many other people that could MC that show. Like, why would you have Vlad do it? Why would you have Joel do it?
We could get because I think he brings a good. He's not a Monero maxi, right? So I like having.
He's not even a Monero guy. Like, why don't you have a Monero guy do that? Like, he's not. It's like, I don't care if he's not a maxi. Like, I like Monero and these other coins. He's like, he talks about, like, all he's done for the past 2 months is talk about how toxic all of us are. Now he's going to be the MC. Like, bro, that rubs me the wrong way.
All right, we don't have
other people the wrong way.
All right.
You.
That's why I'm putting the feeler out. So okay,
Like,
the feeler has felt. All right.
I mean, take some other.
I mean, my
sample points out
thinking
there,
was
right?
the same thinking as when I had Vlad last year, right? It was the same thinking.
Vlad hadn't like turned against the Monero community last year. He was like, oh, hey, here's a guy that was a Bitcoin maxi, and now he seems to be like opening up to other coins, and he seems fairly pro Monero. Cool, right on, man. And then it turned out that was actually just a setup for him to sort of farm his brand, as opposed to like actually, I don't believe that he's genuine about this anymore. If he was, he wouldn't have said the things that he said. So it's like, it was reasonable to have Vlad be the MC last year. I think it would be totally unreasonable after everything that's happened to have him be an MC this year.
I don't know if you could get him to do it, but if you could get Alaska Adon to MC Monerotopia.
I'm sure we could get Alaska to do that. I don't think. So you're saying you would be disappointed if Vlad was on the stage, if Vlad or Joel were on the stage?
I would be a little bit disappointed. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I wouldn't be like clutching my. But I mean, I would still kind of be like, why? Like, there are enough voices that are decent speakers in Monero.
I just like that, they're not maxis, right? Because then we have these other projects involved. I just think it's a good, honest way to portray things. And then we have obviously we have plenty of the Monero take that's a part of the conference, right?
I agree with that. Like, don't have I don't like maxis, and I don't think maximalism is a good mentality to come from. I think that actually is very harmful. And so, like, I'd get someone up there that's not a Monero maxi, but that's like strongly Monero and that's been principled for Monero. Like I don't see why we would give that spot to someone that's just going to go shit talk. It's like that's like saying, hey, the people that shit talk us and have spent time spreading fake news about Monero, we're going to give them one of the primary spots of spotlights at Monero at our Monero conference. Like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like why? Like
All
I
right,
get
I
the
hear you.
not
I
having
hear
the
you.
the maxi up there, but you don't have to put someone that's like kind of questionably, dubiously Monero at all. Like, you don't
Yeah,
have
I
to
mean
put-
the thought was to have him and then somebody else like a Xeno up there, right? That's what I was going for. But
I mean, you know, if they want to, like, if giving some of those guys a speaking spot to present a project, you know, because we're not maxis. Hey, here's some projects. Maybe they're scams, maybe they're not. Whatever. Like people can present and sponsor that. That's one thing. But like, why? Like the MC is like the host, the coordinator, like the focal point. And yeah, I get it. You usually want the MC to kind of like cross boundaries into other communities and stuff like that. But
yeah, that's exactly that's
but
what
you don't want
and it
them to
worked out
be-
well with Vlad and Joel really is. I mean, he is like him or not. He does cross into all these communities. You know, he's very digital cash focused.
I just wish that he crossed into the Monero community. I just wish that his support didn't appear to be token support because he has to, right? I don't believe that he actually cares about Monero. And all
You
he
don't think
again,
so?
bro, he's all the people that he's going to be emceeing for are people that he's effectively shit talked for the past 2 months.
Which would just make for good entertainment in my mind if people can say things. But I
gonna
totally hear you, man, and
take some
I'm
other
not
sample
looking
points.
to.
Take some other
Go ahead.
sample points other than me, but bro, that is going to turn a lot of people off.
Well, listen, if you're saying this, you have a lot of weight. So, yeah. All right, man. Your point has been heard, and yeah. Here's the thing, man. If I take sample points in anything, I'm gonna get people throwing like stuff at me. There's no like universally welcoming thing to do.
No,
in the
that's
Monero
true.
Community with regards to, like, and that's why Monerotopia. It's not Monerocon, man. It's tough, man. You have this community of people trying to like put a conference together with the board of people. It's like it's very difficult to do, and like that's what differentiates Monerotopia. It's more curated, but it allows us to do things that Monerocon can't do as easily, right? Because we don't have to deal with as much of the politics at the end of the day.
I think you should look for the really based people. Like if I saw Amir Taki emceeing, or Rachel Rose O'Leary, or Ray Youssef, or someone like that.
Yeah,
like,
we could. Yeah.
Ray
no, I
would
know,
be
I
a
get you.
great MC. Like that.
Oh,
that
God,
guy,
yes.
top level MC.
I don't know if we could get him to, he'll come and speak, but it's a big commitment to MC. I don't know if he would
It
be
is,
like
yeah.
the type of guy who would do that.
I think Xenu
It's gotta
would
be.
be
It's gotta
great.
be like. It's gotta be like a podcaster. Yeah, Xenu, somebody like that. Somebody who's like in the space, knows all the projects, that likes to be vocal and on stage, obviously.
Yeah, I mean,
All right,
right.
well-
There's like charisma that needs to be associated with that position, right? Like it needs to be someone that's like good at speaking, good at just like throwing it out there and being upbeat all the time, and
Yeah. Joel, I mean, he just checks the boxes in terms of really having an understanding of all these projects. He's very involved in these things, and he does have a good understanding. And like him or hate him, I mean, he's very much about using the technology. He is very agnostic. Obviously, he has huge, big bags of Dash and Zcash. I don't think he denies that, and that certainly influences the things he says, just like it influences the things I say about Monero, right? But he's definitely said some. I used to go toe to toe with him all the time. I used to be like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?" I'd constantly bring up the fluffy pony stuff, like saying that the guy's an informant. He's still even like, I don't get, why he does that. I think he was just like hurt by the Monero community at some point. Honestly, I think is what happened.
I guess I don't know. I mean, he spends no shortage of time calling us all toxic assholes, and it's like, okay, bro, well, you're kind of manifesting your reality there, but
But he is pointing out a flaw of Monero, which is there is a lot of like unnecessary toxicity, like to the point where I feel like it's not productive.
I don't think there's any more toxicity in Monero than there is in any other community, except for fake communities that have no toxicity because there's no people there, so they can just present continuously this polished like corporate front. But Monero's not any more toxic than any other community out there. We just like stick to our principles, and a lot of people take that as we're like, well, I don't, like criticism of Zcash, like genuine criticism of Zcash, they take that as like, oh, you're just being toxic to me. Like, no, bro, I like just tried to stay on point here, and I don't think it's good money. I like the technology, like it's a cool and then they're like, that's so toxic. Like, please. And it's like there's always going to be some troll in some community. There's always going to be some bot out there trying to, you know, be a maxi and be a jerk about it. And it's like just we're not any more toxic than anyone else. But why are you spending more time calling Monero toxic in all these other communities? If it like that's the only thing. Like if it weren't for that, for the past 2 months, I'd be like, okay, cool, you know, whatever. I got it. Like that he's a good choice. That makes sense. He even has a good speaking voice, right? His like radio voice is pretty good.
Yeah, he's good at what he does. I mean, listen, maybe he just participates as a speaker. We get him on a panel, something like that. So,
I don't even know what credentials does he have to be on any panel? Like, what expertise does he have? What is his technological expertise? Why is he smarter than any of the other Monero people that actually do real code, real projects, and understand the tech stack in a way that he doesn't? Like, Joel has no technical background as far as why would he be on a panel?
If we did a panel like on, you know, adoption and digital cash and best tools to use, I mean, the guy is like fully, you know, engrossed in this and like lives off of digital cash and has been doing it for years and studying the tech as he does it. Is he a dev? No, but he certainly has some interesting insights, I would say. I don't know. I got to disagree with you there, man. I mean, yeah, sure. If it's a hardcore tech panel on like the privacy features of, you know, Monero versus whatever Zcash, sure.
Yeah, I guess if it's a podcaster panel and it's an outreach panel, it's a social panel, yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. It wouldn't be like him debating, you know, Luke Parker on, you know. Let me see. XMR tipped 3 cents. I agree with Bawdy. With someone pro Monero as the MC, big deal in my opinion. And I also agree that it'd be nice if Zeno has more pushback. I actually wanted Bawdy to debate Vlad before Zeno offered. Yeah. So we'll see what Zeno does with Vlad. So I think that is today. I think that's coming. That might be happening right now. Actually, I don't even know.
All right. Shit, I gotta go put on my popcorn then.
Sheldon tipped $3. I'm with Bawdy on this issue. Okay, all right. I'm not surprised. I knew there would be a lot. You know, even when I had Vlad last year, and obviously since then, I think Vlad would. I invited him back again this year. I wanted to get him involved, but he doesn't want to associate with the Monero community. Although he's having Zeno on, so that's pretty. So I guess he still is associating with the Monero community. I think that's silly, right? To flame out and be like, you know, I don't want to talk to you guys anymore. I don't want to deal with, like, yeah, you're just.
It tells you who he really is. Like, if
right,
he
like you can't separate
project,
the tech and the protocol from the drama of dealing with whoever it is on X, and to assume that those people represent the project is a bit ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, at best it's immature.
Yeah.
At worst, it's like, okay, then you were never actually here because you never actually cared about Monero. It was just a means to an end for you. So what's your agenda? Like, but if that's not the case, then it's just because he's immature and is dumb and he just doesn't get it, which I actually think might be the case.
No, he's definitely he's a smart dude.
He's not.
He's not as smart as you, Bawdy, man.
No, it's not that.
All right, guys, should we move on to the news?
Yeah. Let's move on. Thank you.
Sorry, these are just two particularly individuals that have talked a lot of shit about Monero and us for the past 2 or 3 months. So, sorry.
I'm trying to be the diplomat. It just doesn't work.
You're a good diplomat, bro. I am not.
No, which is good. We need Bawdy for sure. So let me go ahead and run the news.
All right, guys.
Bawdy, stick around if you can. If you can't, no worries.
Okay.
Here we go.
The Monerotopia guest segment is sponsored by Cake Wallet. Store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero and Bitcoin safely on iOS and Android too. Cake Wallet is open source, and you always control your own keys.
Instead of the news, but needed to do that anyway. We don't currently have a guest. If you'd like to be our guest, maybe you can jump up on stage. But in the meantime, here's the news.
The Monerotopia Weekly News segment is sponsored by WizardSwap.io, a non-custodial cryptocurrency exchange.
Alrighty. Let me go ahead and bring up what I think.
Breaking news: the U.S. president just made Monero legal tender for all debts, public and private, in the United States. Wow, that would be nuts.
What is this?
No, I was just doing fake news. I'm like, the president of the United States has officially declared Monero as legal tender for all debts, public and private. The U.S. dollar is no more.
Yeah.
Breaking news: Aaron Trump issues his first ordinal on the Monero blockchain.
Is Byron a Monero guy or a Zcash guy? That's what I want to know.
Oh, definitely, he's a Zcash guy. Please.
He's in with the in crowd. First piece of news today, we have the Meritocrat, who is Aaliyah. Aaliyah's been booted from X. I don't know exactly what happened. There's been a lot of these type of things seemingly going on with members of the Monero community getting booted from X for various unknown reasons. I think hers, they were saying she didn't pass the proof of human test, essentially, which I kind of believe. I mean, Aaliyah's a little too good to be true. I'm not totally convinced that she's not some kind of benevolent AI that's helping Monero.
She is now on Nostr, so if you need to follow her, you can find her on the proper platform, which is Nostr.
Whatever she is or it is, Aaliyah is doing an amazing job in the Monero community, especially with regards to XMRbazaar. Does a fantastic job, taking care of the platform, mediating the platform, dealing with all the drama on the platform. I don't know how she does it, and she has very good judgment, she's very principled, and applies those principles across the board as she makes her decisions on how we proceed forward on XMRbazaar when issues do come up. But here she is. She's talking about, as I wrote in my article, Unlocking Success in Monero P2P Economy, The Power of Good Faith, which you can check out her blog. She's commenting on this guy, Monero Magu. She just wants to point out of how great of an XMRbazaar user he is. And yeah, apparently he is. I didn't, I've seen the name, but I never realized how much this guy has done. But now he's doing, from now on until November 15th, everybody who follows me gets one discount on any of my listings on XMRbazaar. Just mentions this message when ordering. Yeah, he's, I think she has some of his stats here.
Monero Mega is a good seller. I've purchased from them before, and I've sold to them before, so.
Yeah, he has 172 successful trades and 151 5-star reviews. So, thank you to Monero Magu for being a power user of XMRbazaar. All right, next news story we got here from the Monero account. Boog900 recently put forward a proposal to continue to work full-time on Monero development with focus on cup rate. So that's nice to see. Cup rate is a node implementation for Monero, so just always nice to see when there's just more development work that's being funded and happening on Monero.
And once cup rate is out, I intend to run it.
Yeah, I don't know much about it. Can you kind of give us? I don't know if you dare, but would you want to explain it a little bit?
Well, mind you, I'm not super knowledgeable on this, but what I can say is it's basically just Monero D. So your Monero D that you run for your node or your wallet or whatever, it's just another implementation of the Monero node software that has some improvements. So I'm going to be running it myself because it's faster at synchronizing and stuff like that because it's using Rust. So I'm going to be running it.
Yeah, and I assume the Nodo will take advantage of that as well. I'm not entirely sure.
I would assume it definitely could. You could have either or. You could have a choice to use Monero D or cup rate.
Next post from XMRbazaar. This was just the official announcement we made when the site was down after it came up. We wanted to update you on the recent XMRbazaar.com downtime. It looks like our growing popularity caused a sudden spike in traffic that overwhelmed our servers. A clear sign that word is spreading and more people are discovering what we're building. We've already taken action by migrating to a more robust setup with NID, I don't know how people pronounce this, NGI NX, complete with the rate limiting to better handle surges. We're also planning additional upgrades to ensure even smoother performance moving forward. Thanks for your understanding and continued support. Exciting times ahead as we keep improving and expanding. So, yeah, apologize for the site being down, but we've since fixed it and have become more robust in response. So, XMRbazaar is not going anywhere, guys. The Rage tweeted new Trump pardons Binance founder. So this is big news this week. Binance founder got pardoned by Trump. Seems, like really blatantly corrupt. Like there was like almost like a blatant payoff that happened between the Binance founder and Trump. I think investing like $2 billion into Trump coin or something.
That's what I heard. It was like into USD1 or whatever, his stable coin, and it was like $2 billion.
Yes, into his stable coin. Which and then weeks later got this pardon. Biden's war on crypto is over, the White House tells the Wall Street Journal, but non-custodial developers continue to fight for the freedom in the U.S. Justice Department. Yeah, so the White House's official response to this is asked when being asked, why did Trump pardon the Binance founder? And it was, because Trump wants to end Biden's war on crypto. Meanwhile, as we all know here, there are a lot of other victims of Biden's war that have yet to be saved, ones that probably deserve it much more than the Binance founder.
Ian Freeman.
Ian Freeman, the Samurai Wallet guys, right? Tornado Cash. We did see Roger Ver. He was able to make a deal. Obviously, they're still taking their pound of flesh, but he is now a free man, so at least that happened. So, yes, let's continue to hope that they're true to their word, but it's a little upsetting to see that Binance founder got the get out of jail free card before any of these other guys.
It should be unsurprising though. Like this is exactly what the kind of prediction was, from guys like Tux and myself. Like Trump is the crypto president. He's gonna, but we didn't believe it. We never believed it. We said no, that's probably not how that's going to play out. We got the Ross pardon, right? That was the headliner to convince everybody. But is he actually going to pardon the guys that nobody else knows about except for the crypto people, right? No, he's not going to pardon the real guys that did real good things for the ecosystem. He's going to pardon CZ, a guy that was absolutely fraudulent. But I mean, let's be real. CZ is in on the take, right? CZ is one of their guys. CZ is like part of that entire cabal. He was friends with Mayor Bloomberg back in the day. Like he comes from that cloth, and he's one of their guys. Binance was a means, they were a means of doing things like suppressing Monero on the back end. That they could pretend to set like as a deep state agenda, but they could separate that. Oh, it's just Binance acting independently. No. So it's like it's just to be completely expected. That's all. Like this is why we shouldn't trust guys like Trump, and we shouldn't trust politicians. They're just right, unless they're just unequipped like Massey, or maybe Rand Paul. Like maybe in those cases we could make an exception, but Trump never deserved that.
Yeah, but progress has been made in crypto, right? We knew what we were going to get with him. We knew he's a politician. We knew he's a freaking businessman first and foremost. He's for Trump way before anything else. But his interests happen to kind of align with crypto for whatever reason. And there's been some benefits from there. He did free Ross, right? Obviously, we're seeing a lot of the negative with him, letting Palantir into the White House. Like, on balance, are we winning here? Are we making progress from a crypto anarchist standpoint in the war against technocracy with Trump in versus Kamala? I don't know. There's arguments to be made either way. I know, like Bawdy, I think you would say you would have rather had Kamala or somebody who would be doubling down on being obvious about the war on crypto and whatnot, just so we can get to the end faster. But we have seen some positive things that have happened from the Trump admin. I mean, we can't deny that, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's a mixed bag. I'd say Kamala would have been better, but only because, I mean, yeah, so people aren't going to be getting attacked as much. In a corporate sense, the corporate crypto ecosystem is doing better than it's ever done before. But do people really care about Monero as much? Or are they really asking themselves, oh crap, how am I going to trade my crypto? How am I going to stay private? They're coming after everybody. They're attacking privacy. Like, now everything's okay. And everyone's like, oh, whatever. We don't have to fight anymore. Like, that's part of the point.
Yeah. I mean, we are seeing a privacy coin surge, so to speak, right? Undeniable. I mean, it's right, and it's under the Trump admin. I mean, I'm just saying, man. I don't know.
That's called happenstance. That has nothing, like the privacy coin. The real privacy coin surge would have been everybody using Monero naturally, organically, and all of the small accounts, all of the people that you don't know, all of the non-influencers, like all of those guys getting into Monero. Everybody, like the people that just the average pleb. Like, oh yeah, I'm in Monero. Like that is the real victory there. But now it's the privacy coin exclam trademark.
Do you? I mean, a little off topic, but do you think it's ultimately good for Monero, right? So if they go out there and they pump Zcash and they bring people into the privacy sphere, does Monero benefit from that? I think so. I don't see how it doesn't.
No, I don't. At best, it's neutral, but no, like,
okay.
Convincing people into a bad implementation of money. That's like that we should want a bad implementation of money to be the headliner so that we can get the trickle down. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. You can convert 2.67 Bitcoin into Monero on Eigenwallet. No KYC ever. Completely Eigenwallet. Sorry,
Eigenwallet.
Like an eigenvalue, right? Completely
Exactly.
over to Tor. No counterparty risk. No mediators or arbitrators. Very excited. So is this like new news? I know this came from. They were previously. What was the previous name of their atomic swap implementation?
Unstoppable swap, wasn't it?
Is it Unstoppable Swap? Right. So now they've integrated that into Eigenwallet. I know we've spoken about Eigenwallet in the past. Like they were working on. So like, are we like live and people are atomic swapping on there? Is that what's happening? Because that sounds very exciting. Like
that's badass.
Has anybody used Eigenwallet? Would love to hear more on this. And yeah, would love to do a show with those guys. We were supposed to do an in-person thing that didn't work out. So if they're listening, please, let's make it happen. Jump up today. It's definitely worthy of a conversation.
Oh, we have an XMRchat from Merriam-Webster.
Okay, what do we got? Merriam-Webster tipped 33 cents. NGINX is pronounced Nginx. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I wasn't to where dictionaries could talk. That's cool.
Yeah. They definitely can now.
Obviously, it's called Nginx or something else. Like, no, I'm kidding. It's Nginx.
Okay, hold up. Sorry, guys. Let me bring up the next story here. Bop, bop, boop. Okay. Oh wait, this came from another post. Oh no, what did I do? ZachBTC basically, ZachXBT put out a post criticizing Zashi Wallet. He looked into it, pointing out a potential privacy flaw when you're using it with near intents. Like I've said, I've used it. It is very slick. It's very nice. It has this decentralized exchange built into it, and you can seamlessly, go into some crypto, into Zcash. It's nice, but he's pointing out that there is some potential privacy flaw here with, I think, the way it would do a refund, and it would only refund to a transparent Zcash address, which could then lead into insights into, I guess, how much, Zcash you have ultimately. So yeah, definitely a flaw, but it looks like he then goes on to say they are fixing it. But yeah, so obviously Zashi is not perfect. It's interesting what they're doing, but yeah, pointing that out. So they have work to do on that. Monero Research Lab chimed in on, I guess, the latest with the StressNet. So I assume this came from the Monero, one of the meetings this week. I think they do them every Wednesday, I believe. I usually do read through them. I missed the last one. I assume this came from that. StressNet. So here we go. StressNet updates reported steady progress with version 1.3 release, fixing bugs and improving connectivity, requesting node operators update, and ramp up transaction volume after 24 hours, aiming for beta once stable under high stress. So they are running into some issues. So Justin Bierman gave the overall status report on StressNet. If it is progressing well, we've identified and fixed some full chain membership plus and Carrot integration bugs. In every release, we've identified and fixed Monero D issues in every release, and we made improvements both to existing Monero D/wallet code and to the integration in every release. Actually, all the integration bug fixes have been full chain membership proof plus integration related and not Carrot. Rucknium, any specific requests to StressNet node operators? Transaction volume has been low. Do you want to increase it again? Basically, he goes on to say, I think once we have no more observed integration bugs, maybe for a week, and we see smooth perf with 300 megabyte pool and 5 megabyte blocks, we can move toward beta StressNet. So it sounds like they've had some issues, but they've been dealing with them, and soon we'll be entering the beta StressNet phase coming up in the next week or so. So that's exciting. Everything is moving along in full chain membership proof land. Like I said, my fingers crossed would be for, I don't know, some big milestone reached by Monerotopia. That would certainly make my day. Next story. This is me just posting. Monero is coming to THORChain. This is a repost of the interview I did with JP of THORChain. It was quite bullish. JP is a THORChain, is a Monero bro. That was exciting to hear. He's full speed ahead with adding Monero to THORChain, and before they do that, they're adding it to Voltisig, which is a really. I went into this interviewing not even knowing never even hearing about Voltisig. Apparently, it's another really big project that he's working on. It's kind of revolutionizes how people will hold their private keys. You won't even hold your private keys. Look into it. It's very cool. And so first, Monero is going to be added to Voltisig. And then that tech, the tech that comes from that development will allow them to then easily implement it into THORChain. And all this is like on track to happen in Q1 2026. So obviously I will believe it when we see it, but certainly behind it and excited for it. So I'm a big fan of what they're doing and fully support the work on integrating Monero on THORChain. Next story, Monero gets a mention. The Wired Guide to Protecting Yourself from Government Surveillance. So there's an article in Wired, a guide on how to protect yourself from government surveillance. It's kind of like in response to Donald Trump, arguably being a totalitarian here, and there's certain groups that are concerned about his actions, basically people that are politically opposed to him, right? So they're giving advice on basically tools you can use to prevent government surveillance. Donald Trump has vowed to deport millions and jail his enemies. To carry out his agenda, his administration will exploit America's digital surveillance machine. Here are steps you can take to evade it. So it talks about things like using Signal, encrypted communication, encrypted devices. So how best phones to use and how to use them. So you're taking advantage of the encryption abilities they have. Essentially, how best to use cloud storage if you use it, or ideally avoid it and don't even use it. And then they get into online anonymity, so things like using a VPN and using the Tor browser when you're interacting with the internet, so you could be anonymous online. They get into location data, so obviously not giving away your location when you're using your devices and apps and whatnot. And then they get into financial privacy. So financial surveillance is among the most powerful tracking tools in the government's arsenal. Definitely agree with that, right? We all know that here. Credit card payments or other transactions linked to your bank account are essentially transparent to any law enforcement agency that demands them. That follow the money form of surveillance also has a relatively simple analog defense: dollar bills. Forensic accounting is a thing, warns Holmes. So yeah, use cash. So basically their top recommendation, it's hard to disagree with this, is if you want to prevent financial surveillance, just use cash. But we know that's not always practical. It's becoming less and less practical, especially as they're trying to kill cash. So they go on to say, for those seeking more convenient or long-distance transactions, so they're not even bringing up the fact that cash is will be killed, but they're just talking about if, obviously you can't use cash if you're making a long-distance transaction or a transaction online. Payment apps like PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App may seem slightly more cash-like than a credit card or check, but in fact are just as vulnerable to law enforcement data requests as any bank. So warning people, don't use Venmo. It may feel like cash, but it's not. You're still in being surveilled. Cryptocurrency may appear to be a tempting alternative, but despite the long-running mythical reputation of cryptocurrency as anonymous cash for the internet, Bitcoin and most other cryptocurrencies offer no real privacy. So here we go, guys. This is awesome, right? So putting out the word, obviously we all know it here, but in this article where they're teaching people what tools to use to avoid surveillance, they're saying Bitcoin is not one of those tools you should be using. You shouldn't be using Venmo. You shouldn't be using your bank account. What you should be using is cash, or given the ease of tracing Bitcoin transactions on its blockchain and the difficulty of buying or selling cryptocurrency from a cryptocurrency exchange that complies with U.S. Know Your Customers laws, so saying how traceable Bitcoin is, instead you should be using other cryptocurrencies like Monero and Zcash. They do offer privacy properties that make them vastly more difficult to trace than other cryptocurrencies, at least in theory. Mixer services like Ethereum-based Tornado Cash to promise to blend users' coins with those of others to complicate the task of following the money. So they're mentioning Monero, Zcash, and like Ethereum, Tornado Cash and Ethereum as being the tools you may want to consider using if you're trying to obfuscate your transaction history. If you don't want to be surveilled, either use cash or use digital cash. Still, given the ongoing advances in cryptocurrency tracing and the indelible evidence of any security slip-up that public blockchains make available to the cats in the cat and mouse game, it's safer to stick with cash whenever possible. So ultimately saying actually use cash. But, hard to disagree with that if you're really giving somebody some advice and, they really need to be protected, and cash will allow them to do what they need to do. Cash is definitely a great tool for that. But it is nice to see they are also mentioning Monero and Zcash, essentially digital cash, as the other thing people should be considering. And they're clearly pointing out that Bitcoin is not digital cash. And they didn't just mention Zcash, because if they did, we would have all been flipping out. They also mentioned Monero, thank God. And they mentioned it first. So Wired is still based. That is the news for today. I don't know if you guys have any comments on that.
There was one interesting thing. I don't know if you read Sam Bent's blog, but he was talking about an I2P, some I2P integrations that apps could take advantage of. So like Monero wallets or whatever could just build I2P right in so that they don't even have to like worry about connecting or whatever. You just open the wallet and you're automatically connected to I2P, and you can use an I2P Monero node or whatever.
Okay. Let me go ahead and run viewers on stage, guys. Anybody wants to jump up, I will put the link in the chat. Bada beep, bada boop. Link's in the chat. You just have to click on it, StreamYard link, and you'll be backstage, and we can bring you up if you'd like to join us on stage. I see Alaska Anon. I don't see anybody else yet, but let's go ahead and run it. See if anybody wants to jump up stage. Here we go. Here we go.
The Monerotopia Viewers on Stage segment is sponsored by XMRbazaar. Play dice with Monero using a privacy-respecting and provably fair algorithm. Go to XMR.bar. As always, verify and never trust.
Please gamble responsibly in accordance with the laws of your jurisdiction.
All right, Alaska Anon, what's going on, man?
Just a heads up, I still don't have a new mic, so if it's bad, just tell me to quit talking. But
no, you sound great. You sound great.
Okay, good. I messed with it a little bit. I think I got it going for now. It's surprisingly difficult to get things shipped up here unless I use the old send it to one person and then send it to me afterwards trick. But
I'm loving your Zcash shirt, man.
Oh, I love Zcash. I love the way that it allows both the KYC fanboys and the non-KYC fanboys to get under one big tent. You know, we have to be inclusive. So that's why I'm using the ZChan avatar for promoting Vlad's upcoming debate where he's going to wreck Monero Bros.
Will you be wearing this shirt to Monerotopia?
I'm wearing it now.
We got to sell this at Monerotopia.
I did want to throw out there for those of you who aren't paying attention to the graphene space, there was a quasi announcement, I think 2 weeks ago, about a pivot from Pixel phones, which I found to be very interesting because apparently they have a deeper than OEM level hardware provider that's interested in not only providing support for graphene, but even shipping with graphene. I don't know how I feel about shipping with graphene. I guess if it at least it makes it more available to people. I was kind of surprised at how many people were interested in having me flash the OS for them. And I'm just like, well, that kind of defeats the purpose. But in a sense, it's better than nothing. So, but they haven't announced the hardware provider, but they did say that it is a Snapdragon instead of Tensor based hardware. So that kind of moves graphene's hardware capacity quite a bit ahead of where it is right now, if that's the case. But they haven't announced the provider yet, as far as I understand. There's a lot of speculation. I think the irony would be incredibly thick if it ends up being a Chinese manufacturer is now like the lead in privacy hardware. And I think that there's a pretty high likelihood that that's the case.
The only concern that I have, because I heard about that news as well, the only concern I have is that they said that the new devices would be pixel priced. And I'm wondering if that means the flagships or if that also means like the A series, because the A series was a super easy way to get into graphene for not a whole lot of Monero. And to see that go away would be kind of sad.
They're not removing support for older Pixel devices, although they would eventually age out, like the guaranteed support window. But I would also point out a great way to reduce the price of a graphene phone would be to have hardware providers providing support for its development out of the box. Because with the nature of the project and the licensing and so on, having somebody who's working on that with Snapdragon and more common cameras and so on, in theory, then it's easy to fork the project into something that is cheaper, or possibly run the project on devices that aren't even phones. I think it gets us actually pretty far ahead of eventually reducing the price for having something like graphene. Maybe not immediately, but this tends to be how prices come down. Is there's more people supporting more stuff, and it makes it easier for somebody to fork off and do a different phone platform. Or I don't know if you remember. It started with an E or an L, I think. I still use it all the time for like tablets and stuff. But it's a different
Lineage.
Yeah, Lineage. That's what it was. I still use Lineage all the time. I mean, it's not like super secure, but if you're using it for tablets that you don't regularly connect to the internet or whatever, I'm constantly telling people about as a parent, sometimes there is like a convenience fee that you can pay by giving your kids a tablet or whatever. And so I tell people buy old tablets, load them up with like highly educational material. And then if you just desperately need your kids to be quiet in a car for like 30 minutes, at least they can be learning, put a red filter on there, make sure it's pretty well locked down. So all they can do is really like study with it. Because that's kind of the era we live in, right? Especially a lot of people, they have to be 2-parent households and so on. So they just don't have the time to give 24 hours of attention to their kids. It's kind of a good like middle ground between the techno parent thing, which is ill-advised, versus the helicopter mom and living on starvation wages.
And if you want to be a 2-parent household with one person making an income and the other person actually able to stay home with the kids, buy Monero. And the reason for that is because when you buy Monero, your life gets better.
I heard it also raises your children's IQ, and it keeps your marriage together. Like there's 0% divorce rate in the Monero community, if I'm not mistaken. Also prevents you from aging. Every Monero you have in your wallet reduces your biological age by a year. Keeps you 20 forever.
It definitely reduces your stress level, that's for sure.
Yeah, I started to get kind of worried about the graphene project for a little while there. I am still concerned that we do have to keep up in that space. Like the adoption was growing really, really fast, but I was noticing that the volume of people working on the project was not keeping pace. And I'm sure everybody noticed, like there was, especially in the pixel world, they kept releasing stuff that was making it hard to keep graphene going. Like the dependencies for the camera on the Play Store. Did you keep up with that? That was just like overtly, they're clearly trying to walled garden like the Apple situation.
Yeah, they've Google has lost a number of lawsuits, and they're having to pivot their model. They've got the AI stuff going on. They've got Gemini, so they're obviously big recipients of the money printer in that regard. But yeah, they're having to do some pivots on their profit models. Obviously, their Google search is, despite still being dominant, is also enshittified too much and is being used less and less. So it's all AI search now is the thing to do. So yeah, they've done some weird stuff. It's Google, so we shouldn't really be surprised. All the way through it, the graphene guys, they're like, yeah, they keep causing us problems. It's like, it seems more like an annoyance and kind of a hindrance than it is like any worry that they're going to fold, to have to fold. They lost they lost their one of their senior developers to the Ukrainian war, to conscription, but apparently he's fine. They put him to work on smart tech stuff instead of sending him to the front lines to do drone warfare. So that's good, I guess. As good as that can be for him. What a shitty situation. As long as honestly, even if they end up supporting Snapdragon and having a reference implementation, an OEM reference implementation, I'll probably still stick with the Pixel. I'm not gonna lie. Google has absolutely top level hardware. Their phones are absolutely fucking amazing. I need to get a new one. Actually, my battery on my phone is currently shit.
Well, Graphene's not going to compromise on their security to get into their partner, I don't think. So I think whatever device they choose is going to meet the Pixel standard, whatever the current Pixel standard is, with like the secure elements and stuff like that. Like,
it'll meet the Pixel security standard. Probably, maybe it'll even exceed it. I'm just talking about like the strength of the hardware. Like I'm talking about the tensor chip.
Gotcha. Okay.
And the camera, and their implementation of the Google camera. Like they're just phenomenal. Like they're so good. So it was really, it was really nice having Graphene on just absolutely top level hardware in terms of performance. But I'm sure whatever their OEM phone is going to be pretty good too.
I think I saw that the Google camera, like the camera app or whatever, now requires Google Play services in order to operate.
Which I already have anyways. Like,
excuse you. Bad, sir. Bad.
Please, bro. How do you want me to run my banking app? That shit barely works as it is. Like,
you don't run your banking app on your phone. You run your banking app on your computer or through a web browser. That's what I do.
No, dude. Your phone is more secure. Like, I am far better, and I've done this. I've isolated my banking app to a separate profile because I'm actually more concerned about my banking app spying on me than the reverse, to be honest. But like, as far as I'm concerned, a well-handled Graphene phone is probably equally, if not more secure than a laptop or desktop device. Laptop, desktop, monolithic kernel devices are so horrendously insecure in every fucking possible way that the only way to make them slightly secure is to do cubes, isolation mechanisms. And even then, it's like you could barely use the thing. You sacrifice all of this convenience. Like
what I do is my bank would not let me use the website in order to do anything. They required the app, so I got a new bank and that I could use from my web browser instead of through an app. So I do that, and then since I use Monero, as soon as I get paid, I pay my bills and then put everything else into Monero. So my bank, go ahead and hack my bank account. You'll get like maybe $5. Go ahead.
You guys, there's another option. All I did, so I was already using my banking app on a Graphene Pixel, and then it added a dependency for the Play Store. And then I just called the bank and I got a hold of tech support and I explained to them that this was an unnecessary dependency. And so I happened to use a bank that would be interested in national security issues. And I just pointed out to them that each and every one of these dependencies is creating a new security issue that is unnecessary. And no shit, guys. They actually removed the Play dependency. And that's incredible. Banking, yeah.
I know which bank you're talking about, and that's not too surprising. They actually, you can get a hold of people and turn their ear when necessary. Most banks are not like that.
I maybe I've shared this story before. I was hesitant to share it because I was worried that it would ruin the deal, but it looks like it's going nowhere. I was trying to reach Google directly about ordering like pallets of unlocked Pixel phones. And I got really high up the food chain, like really, really high, like shockingly high up the food chain. And they actually gave me on 2 separate occasions, it was supposed to be an hour and it turned into nearly 2 both times. They entertained the idea of pivoting back towards their kind of original, more open source software ethos. And I explained to them that there's this huge market here. And if they stop trying to just be Apple 2 years ago, they might be able to pass Apple by being the more desirable platform to be used because of like I was pretty surprised at how high up in the executive team they weren't just open to it, but they spoke the language and they were all about it. And I don't know how much higher it took before they shut it down. But there was even at that point, and I don't want to give it away because I don't want to get anybody in trouble if like they pushed too hard in a direction that their corporate overlords weren't okay with. But just suffice to say, it was really, really high up the food chain. I was pleasantly surprised at how far they were willing to take it.
Well,
but these were actual Google like C-suite tier people that were entertaining the idea of making wholesale Pixel phones available and doing more for hardware level support before finally they just kind of stopped talking to me. But you could hear the passion in their voice. Like there are people, as much as I completely disagree with them, you know, still being part of the cabal, there's sound arguments to the fact that there are people who believe that they can make certain kinds of changes from within. And there's a lot of security to having one of those corporate jobs that I can't get mad at somebody for finding a way to feed their family kind of deal or whatever. I don't know if any of them actually had a family, but I'm just saying, like, I don't ever want to get mad at people for doing what they have to do to take care of themselves to a point. But these were people who were very much like pro open source community in a very high position at Google. And they did seem like they were going to bat for the idea of making like volume hardware available to people who wanted to run with that business model. I had actually tried to I actually did. I had a graphene providing service, like having phones that were flashed with graphene. We would load different apps and make it easy for you to continue to update it and so on. The idea was to put graphene in the hands of a normie. And every time I wanted to scale it, it was a lack of availability of the phones because, you order 7, you have to send back 3 because they're not actually factory unlocked. And by the time you get to the end of life cycle for those phones, it's like you order 10 phones and send back 8 or 9 because no matter how much they say factory unlocked, they weren't. And it was tying up too much cash flow, and it wasn't worth it to just dump more money into the business model because you couldn't fix that cash flow problem. So I kept trying to get them to ship me factory unlocked phones direct from the manufacturers. And it really did go a long way. Like they were trying at a certain level to make this possible for myself and the people that I was working with to try to pull this off before they just kind of started ghosting me. And it happened at the same time as they were like, well, let me see if I can get permission from let's call it the top tier. And then they just stopped calling me back. But there are people in these large corporate machines that are trying really hard to keep the open source dream alive, which was a very pleasant surprise for me because I'm a little jaded by the corporatocracy,
Yeah, I'm particularly concerned about the software side. Like, I don't know, I'm not a big hardware person, but I'm really, really concerned about the software side and the new registration that apps are going to have to do and the possible death of F-Droid. That really concerns me.
Yeah, F-Droid is garbage. Like, I really should keep up more closely with the graphene stuff. I mean, I've got them on my notifications, so I see their posts, and they really do take the time to explain all the stuff that's going on, and they do take the time to reply to people. So they are working on an alternative, better app store. But like any app store that doesn't automatically update my apps can go pound sand. Like I have no interest in such an app store. Because I'm
automatically update apps.
F-Droid now they do finally.
Yes,
are you sure about that?
Terrible. It's terrible.
They've been doing so for like a year now.
A whole year. Oh my god! Wow.
I think it's probably longer than that, but I know for a fact that I've been using it for at least a year.
I do use it because it's what's available, but Bawdy is right. Like, even though it does supposedly automatically update apps. A lot of the time it fails to, or it doesn't, or they're maintaining the repositories is an absolute nightmare. Like
they don't update the repository in a timely fashion. There's problems with key signing for developers and key signing. Like it's just not like it's not a good alternative app store. So Graphene is working on an alternative app store. I forget what they call it. Do you remember, Alaska, what the implementation is called?
I don't remember. I mean, technically they kind of do have an app store for their like in-house apps. It wouldn't be hard to branch it off a little bit. Like they have the Graphene app loader thing. I don't know what it's called, but it keeps up to date the like the default apps that come with Graphene as an operating system. But the reality is you're absolutely right. Like the app store space in the freedom-minded community is an absolute joke. Aurora Store is infinitely better than like even, you know, F-Droid and all of these other, and people keep trying. I don't even remember what the other version of F-Droid was. Like if Tux is here, he'd be like mocking me with how bad I am at remembering names. But there's another version of the F-Droid app store that was like somebody trying to fix the fact that F-Droid was terrible. And to be fair, it was slightly better. But then you had these two app stores that like were not keeping up with each other on. So now I'm just using two broken app stores for my list of apps that I'm using. It's a nasty space right now. I'm gonna look on my phone and see.
I'm really honestly surprised how hard you guys have found F-Droid to be. I've been using it since 2019, and it's been fine for me.
I haven't found it hard to use. It's just inferior. Like you are less secure using F-Droid than you are using the Google Play Store. Like Sandbox Google Play is more secure than F-Droid. It's really just that simple.
How so?
They do time when developers of applications release updates. Those updates are released onto the repository in a timely fashion. And F-Droid, they're behind. Like on so many of those apps, they're just totally behind. I don't know the specific problem either, but there is a problem with developers and key signing. There's also a different problem in Google with developers and key signing. But then, yeah, like they only just recently released automatic updates. Like I couldn't be freaking spending every single week, every other day updating my apps. Like the fact that took until 2025 or 2024 for them to figure out tells me it's a peripheral indicator of them not producing a product that is truly like that's truly a security-based product.
They started with automatic updates when Android 12, I think it was, released the ability for them to do automatic updates with their apps. As far as like the being behind goes, all the apps I have are updated in a timely fashion. Like I use F-Droid every day, or damn near every day, and the apps I get are updated in a timely fashion. Maybe they're like a couple of days behind, but not like they're not weeks or months behind. They're like a couple of days behind, if nothing else.
I think you might be misunderstanding. Like, I mean, I'm totally with Bawdy on this one. The fact is like there is a technological literacy gate behind using things like F-Droid. And then on top of that, it siphons time away from whatever else it is that you're doing. It requires you to pay attention to whether or not it's even updating in the first place appropriately and so on. There are apps that, I mean, just remember the Cake Wallet debacle with being on F-Droid. They're not using best practices. They're not keeping up with the consumer demand at all. I guess the best way I can put it is this: like, I live in this space with every available minute I have. Like every single minute that I have that I can put into keeping up with open source tech and so on. But I run several companies that are blue collar jobs, or, you know, like maybe financial adjacent jobs and so on. And the thing is that anything that robs your attention for even a minute is extremely expensive. And what I mean by that is, you know, I can generate a certain amount of wealth by using my attention elsewhere than trying to keep up with the latest how to get around this current problem. Or another thing is like, especially somebody like you should understand, if I have to keep up with somebody's Twitter thread to be able to use their app, I'm already out. You know what I mean? Like if in order to know what the problem is for why I can't use, a good example would be a banking app. Like I can't be bothered to keep up with why I have to do some kind of ridiculous BS with a banking app. And there are situations as a graphene user, for example. So if you have a company that manages, like, let's say $1 million or more, okay, like as far as liquid cash in a bank account, I'm not talking about like cash flow or whatever. If you have to keep like $1 million or more in a bank account, which some people aren't aware of what this is like. First thing that you want to consider is making sure that it's not all in one bank, not just in different bank accounts, but that it's not all in one bank. Because if you can't pay all of your bills when they are due, because the bank even shuts you down for a single day, you're going to have people calling you. You're going to have, like, it's going to take the entire day to clean up the mess from the previous day. So, because people want to get paid or they don't want to do business with you. And if I have to use a web browser for 4 different banks in order to do it from my phone, or I have to keep a laptop with me and make sure I have a power source and all, like, I am a man who, as far as professionally speaking, I always have to keep more than one laptop with me. I always have to keep more than one phone with me in order to do my jobs. And if each phone has to like be engaging with different banking apps, and then I have to move money from a browser on one phone, you know, and then get it to another, like, and then get it to another bank account so I can use like a in-app bank transfer, and so each and every one of these little barriers are cash flow issues. You see what I'm saying? Like, it can be extremely expensive when it is not user-friendly right now. One of the things that I think Matteo put it best during his interview with Doug, that people don't realize, is the business-to-business economy is way huge. It's massive compared to, you know, people going to the farmer's market and buying, you know, bananas or whatever with Monero. And when people are talking about adoption, what they need to be talking about is business to business adoption. And right now there's like one wallet, although a little birdie told me that Cake Wallet is diving really deep into this right now, but there's only one wallet that helps you track your expenses in a way that's even remotely useful to, like, if you're doing your banking and all of that, and your accounting is QuickBooks. But then on top of that, like, I can't use F-Droid to update my Monero wallet. What if there's a security problem? What if there's a connection issue? What if there's, like, it has to be getting real updates live right now. Background sync was massive for B2B adoption. It was absolutely massive. Because if I know that I can take out my Monero wallet, pay somebody right now, I'm not worried about syncing. I'm not worried. That was huge for some of my companies. I mean, just the other day, like, being able to go out into rural Alaska where you're already having like major connection issues. I have to pay for a pallet of frozen chickens. The guy accepts Monero. I can't go there and sit with my truck idling with delivery windows and so on. I can't sit there and wait for syncing. I can't sit there and make sure that I have the latest app. Like, business to business adoption requires what Bawdy is talking about. Your app store has to work. Your apps have to work. You know, it has to be able to sync in the background. It has to be liquid right now. If I have to switch to a browser and open up my laptop and turn on a hotspot and all this other stuff, it doesn't work. I mean, yes, it works, but it doesn't.
That's a totally different use case. When I said what I'm doing, that's consumer. So, like, as a consumer, I have a bank account and I pay my bills and then put the rest in Monero. I don't mind, as a consumer, having the friction of doing the banking website. If you're doing,
but I have to politely disagree that it is a consumer issue, because you got to think of it this way. If a consumer wants to spend Monero at a business, that business has to be able to use Monero. And that's the problem. Like, if the people that I have gotten to accept Monero in business to business transactions, it's in spite of the fact that it has technical hurdles and all of these extra steps. But if they want to sell you a chicken and they will accept Monero, they have to then be able to pay for business to business transactions. For every one guy buying a chicken, that chicken farmer first has to be able to accept it. Then they have to be able to do accounting for it. Then they have to be able to buy what, maybe they buy feed, or maybe they pay, electrical bills or whatever. They have to be able to use it. And I'll stick with the chicken farmer example. These guys aren't sitting on piles and piles of time to learn this stuff. Every chicken farmer I know in rural Alaska, which is a shockingly huge number, okay, they're working 75 hours a week. And if they stop working 75 hours a week, their chickens die. You see, they don't have time to follow Twitter for the latest workaround on how they can update their such and such. And if the community doesn't get it through their head, and God bless people like you, Shortwave, because you are keeping this thing alive, and all the people like you, okay? Keeping the system going and working is crucial, but we're going to be spinning our wheels forever if developers and people who are marketing this stuff don't acknowledge the fact that you cannot live in this ecosystem of workarounds. It has to just work. And the tech bro community is constantly adding gate after gate after gate to business adoption, normie adoption, those who aren't tech savvy. And how many times I've given the example of some of the smartest people you will ever meet hate technology. I work with I'll just say a gentleman whose business is business. He's a businessman through and through. He can take almost any business that you could look at and he can turn it into a profitable endeavor. He could sell it. He could, turn it into shares and, divest it. He's a total business Chad. This dude hates computers. He hates every time he has to open his laptop or even connect to a Zoom call or some of the most normie crap you could ever think of. He just gets so frustrated and he gets so angry because he knows he's walking into a situation where he's going to have to spend, 2.5 hours learning what changed about his email or whatever. And that's normie tech. The crypto tech is insanely broken for a guy like that. And he's asked me, how do I buy into Monero? And I look at him straight up like Mr. Monero advocate. Well, I should say Zcash advocate, right? But anyway, I tell him straight up, you don't want in on this. It's not mature enough for a person like you to just start using it. All you'd be doing is you'd be sitting on this for the next 3 or 4 years, hoping that you don't lose your keys so you can eventually migrate to a new Carrot wallet and blah, 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 blah. The maturity of the tech, especially when you get into Bawdy is saying, these app stores, it's not there. Bawdy is very technically literate. I mean, I consider myself relatively technically literate. It robs me of my time. It really does.
Yeah, I played with all the stuff, and these days I curse anything that I have to stop and spend even 20 minutes, and that's on a good day. Usually it's more like I have to spend an hour figuring out some stupid shit for some fucking tool that just doesn't have a good integration. I curse LibreOffice every fucking time I use it. I am somewhat convinced that the people that develop that project don't actually use LibreOffice, particularly the spreadsheet application. The document seems more or less okay. The presentation, right there, LibreOffice, what's it called? Present image. It doesn't matter. Whatever their PowerPoint presentation.
It's Calc and Present. Yeah, Calc is the Excel the
Impress. It's LibreOffice and Impress, and then Calc. Yeah, or I just call it their spreadsheet. I curse their spreadsheet implementation every fucking time because it's just so bad and so wrong with every level. And the updates, the constant stream of updates that always break something. Don't get me wrong, Microsoft has its own problems of updates that, kill your computer for 30 minutes while you wait for it to restart and then they're spying on you. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just I I intentionally and knowingly pay the cost of a lot of the tools that I use and say they're worth it to me. I need those tools. But to pretend that my family is going to could use those tools, I can't pretend that they can use Linux, right? I could get them onto a Linux that works and doesn't rob them of their time. There's like definitely this separation in open source stuff that works and stuff that mostly works. And even though I curse calc, the LibreOffice spreadsheets, it works enough, right? For like really basic spreadsheet usage. I can even do some creative stuff. But yeah, I mean, like, I mean, it's usually at least once a week, if not a couple times, 2 or 3 times a month, where I waste a fucking hour or 2 hours of my life overcoming the problem of some tool doing some weird, stupid thing. And I very much value like projects these days saying we are going to make the front-facing user experience paramount in the experience. Now, sometimes, like in the nature of Monero, there are some things that we basically can't get around that are required. Like if you want to run the desktop Monero node, you're going to have to sync a node, right? Like, and you're going to have to wait for the occasional sync time, and you're going to occasionally get a weird thing with your network or something like that. And like that's unavoidable. Cake Wallet's doing pretty good about they've gotten around the 10 block lock. I personally still have weird problems with Cake Wallet where even though I have background sync enabled constantly, I still get a situation where like it'll take 5 minutes to update from like 4 days of not having gotten, or a week of not having got onto my wallet, and it shouldn't, like I set it to aggressively update every hour. It should take like 30 seconds max. So I don't know. There's still something going on with that. I tried to report it to them. I don't know if they've done anything, but I mean, software's hard, obviously, and the substrate that we've been given is in a lot of cases compromised, and that's probably intentional in a lot of ways. But yeah, I mean, as far as the App Store goes, like F-Droid, like that's not a real solution. That needs a shitload of work. But I'm just looking forward to Graphene coming out with their own repository, because that'll, their implementation is going to be better than F-Droid. And F-Droid does have technical problems with their project that make them not that secure. And okay, like it's you can spend time, right? You can update your apps and do it, but there's still these weird quirks and problems. Graphene is actually detailed. They even have posts about this, detailing the problems were with F-Droid not really being up to snuff.
There was another store that somebody tried to make called a Crescent.
That's it.
And what I find to be the problem with a Crescent isn't that it's not secure, because it's more secure than F-Droid, and I understand that. What the problem is that it's basically Google Play 2.0. It's a centralized app repository that requires their signing keys. And if the government walks up and says, tap, tap on the shoulder, says, we want you to remove this app, they're going to remove that app, and Cake Wallet or whatever is going to go poof, and you're not going to have anything. You're not going to have any say over it. With F-Droid, if the government says, tap, tap, hey, remove this app, or else, the app developer can just make a repository on Tor and host it themselves, or on the ClearNet and host it themselves. They don't have to worry about whether F-Droid is going to boot them off or not, because you can still get the app.
Well, hang on. So you're saying, maybe I don't understand how F-Droid works as a repository. You're saying it's a decentralized repository that anyone can host a version of it with their app on it?
So you can add repositories to F-Droid, and you can do it manually. Basically anything, any repository you want. I mean, it could be the jankiest one ever, and it'll still let you host it on there.
Yeah, think of the Debian or Ubuntu repositories, where they have your main repository, but then you can add other repositories from Tor or from whatever application you want to get the more up-to-date version. Think of it similar to that.
Okay. I mean, you could still go and download your you could still download the directly download the SPK.
Yeah, but then you don't get the
I don't want to like
auto updates.
I definitely hope that I'm not coming, like, I realize I'm an old man now, and I'd be like, you're done, kids can't make your apps work or whatever. Like, I can't believe how far we've come. Like, I remember trying to game on Linux, 14 years ago or whatever. I mean, things are way better. Don't get me wrong. They're way better.
Just to speak really quick to respond directly to what Shortwave said before we, I guess, vector off into another subject here. If that were the case, that it happened that some app that I need got banned and the government literally forced a Crescent/Graphene to remove an app or some apps that I needed, then okay, maybe I'd find myself using F-Droid for a specific use case. And I actually still do use F-Droid because there's like maybe one app that I use or two apps that I use that I can't find them on Google Play. So if that was the case, then sure, I could go to F-Droid and I could add the repository that I need to add. Like, I'll cross that bridge if the government forces me to cross it. But other than that, like, there is a significant amount of strength in having a centralized secure repository that I can just set it, forget it, install, and I don't have to think about it because there's too many things in my life that I have to do. There's too many projects I have to work on. And everyone that steals 30 minutes or an hour of my time once a month is yet another thing that prevents me from working on the stuff that I really want to work on.
All of the apps on my phone, like every single app on my phone. I don't have Google Play services. I run Lineage. Every single app on my phone, bar one, is from F-Droid, and I have no problems with it.
Yeah, because you refuse to use a lot of software that I don't refuse to use. Like, there's stuff that I am not going to find on F-Droid. And I'm sorry, bro, but like, I'm not a purist in that sense. Like, I am a man that lives in the technological age that we have and uses the tools that we have. I use Uber Eats. I use Rappi. I use Didi. I use Amazon. I get Amazon shit shipped to me like all the time. And I know that people are like, oh, you can do all this other stuff and all these gymnastics. Like, listen, if I want my new Yamaha 6.5-inch subwoofer monitor to replace my Row kit that just went out, then I'm going to have to use Amazon, or I'm going to have to go spend an extra like 5 hours sourcing out some, like, directly going store to store here in Mexico, calling a dozen places till I finally find the monitor that I want that's actually going to like serve my needs.
Put an ad on XMRbazaar.
Yeah. Wait for how long to get my monitor, right? Like, that's that you're paying a price to do that. And you can't tell me, Shortwave, that you are not paying a price to do that. And respect that you do. I totally get it. And I've done it before. And I'm not saying that like I'm an evolution of like, that's just the choices I've made, right? I've gone to a different set of choices. And the choices that you make are totally reasonable. And I wouldn't poo-poo them at all. I'm just saying that they're not the only choices to make. And like, the real world for me to like onboard people and family and friends to some of this technology, it needs to just fucking work. And I've actually onboarded quite a number of people to Graphene because it just fucking works. Like, there's like a couple tiny little pain points that once you figure that out, you're totally fine. And when people use it, I can tell them confidently, no, just install Google Play Store, install Graphene, and you're good. Like, you're golden. Here's a couple gotchas and that's it. And you're fucking done. You are vastly ahead of where you were, 2 weeks ago now. And I can confidently say that to them. But a lot of this stuff, like, I can't tell them to get on F-Droid and only use F-Droid. I would be doing them a disservice for their needs and the things that they want if I were to do that.
And just to point out, I do use Uber Eats once in a great while through the website, eats.uber.com.
Bawdy,
I mean,
finally, he found it. He found the weakness.
What? What do you?
I can't believe you found it, Bawdy. The thing with Shortwave is not a purist. You did it.
Uber Eats, yeah. I mean, a lot of it's just time savings, right? Like, at this point in my life, I mean, I've been kind of a lazy fuck for the past 2 weeks, but I kind of got burned out on the simulator for a moment, had to take some recovery. But generally speaking, when I'm working on projects, it's all I fucking do. For me to like go to the grocery store, I'm like, God damn it, now I got to go waste an hour and a half and sit in traffic and walk my ass around the grocery store, finding which tomato is the firmer tomato. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I'll just ask someone else on Uber Eats to do that for me, please. And I'll pay you for it, right? I'll give you the money for, delivering my stuff directly to my door. Like, that time savings is huge. And as you get older, like, time becomes, when you're young, you have time in spades and you don't have resources. When you get older, you have resources, but you realize time is actually your most limited resource. And so A lot of my needs are geared at minimizing time doing just random extemporaneous errands kind of bullshit.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm only like late 20s, so that might be part of the problem.
Oh shit. Yeah, you've got you're still bushy-eyed and yellow-tailed, and you got a bunch of life in front of you. No, I'm talking like an old guy now. I'm not even old, right? I'm like in my 40s.
This is the grandpa show.
Yeah. Welcome to the show with Alaska Anon and Bawdyanarchist. Will tell you what it was like back before the boomers generation come along. I tell you what.
Back in my day, a gallon of milk used to cost 50 Monero. We're actually gonna be able to say that one day.
This is like a comedy show, bro. I'm telling you, like it's just awesome.
Back in my day, we used to charge people in cartridges.
I legit remember acquiring Bitcoin for Magic cards.
2 years ago, my monthly grocery bill was over 1 Monero a month.
You know, one of the things that, you know, it's we've shifted, and I worry that people are still kind of caught up in the way that it was, you know, 3 or 4 years ago, where it was hard to argue the value proposition for freedom tech, you know, because the Orwellian technocratic nightmare fueled state was not this bad. We already have the value proposition now. It's very easy. I mean, I don't even have to explain it anymore. I can just say graphene doesn't spy on you, and they're like, give me that right now. How do I get it now? You know, but it's no longer you have to argue the value of freedom and privacy to the people who are ready to adopt right now. The space needs to pivot toward convenience that's at least on par with what the technocratic overlords have been able to deliver, which the funny thing is it shouldn't be that hard. Like, people already hate, you know, register an account to buy this pack of pencils or whatever, you know. People already hate the lack of convenience that comes with the technocratic overlords. And all we have to do is make our software relatively the same. And then you're already going to get adoption from just the fact that there's not 800 accounts for literally everything. And my biggest concern is this space is becoming an account for everything now, where I have to, you know, and this is where like things like password managers, you know, the fact that Vanadium has a password manager, Brave has a password managers that are good enough. You know, normies are more than happy with just that password manager. But even something simple, like after somebody has been using a password manager for a while, they should be prompted, would you like to back up your passwords in case your device goes down? And then like a little question box, what do you mean by this? Well, if you go pick yourself up a USB stick, we can write it on there for you. You can back up all your passwords. And then if you ever need these passwords again, you can recover them, you know, or just that level of convenience where I didn't even know this was a problem before, as, you know, John Q normie, you know, like that, and it solves your problems for you, and it already respects the privacy, and they can just trust that that's the case, even if it's not the best, it's something. And you can offer that, convenience to them the way that the technocrat grid does, but they also aren't an account for everything people, you know, because like if you already use like the account generator tools, you can build an account that stores it for you. You know, it's not linking it to anything, but people don't know how to use that stuff. They don't even know why. So the freedom respecting software, it doesn't have to worry about the value proposition like it used to. It now just has to worry about a normie being able to adopt it.
Yeah, there's a lot left on the table for usability, and there's a whole reason for that. And shitification came for open source as well. And a lot of open source got co-opted back in the day, 2013, 2014, 2015. This was the co-optation of open source. And in a lot of ways, it's hard to make things secure and open source and user-facing with simple user, like simple UX, easy, good UX. That's hard because it's been intentionally made to be difficult, unfortunately. In a lot of ways, the substrate was compromised in ways that require lots and lots and lots of developers to be able to make any progress. And I don't think that was an accident. In a lot of cases, it kind of is an accident because it's hard to be good and organized about your code and like actually produce quote unquote clean code, right? But clean, secure, auditable, and good UX code. That's that. The other problem, obviously, is, as we know, is the money printer. Who gets the money, right? Well, IBM and Red Hat, they get the printed money, they get the loans. Google, who's in control of Mozilla, right? Which is in control of Firefox. Development is expensive, and it's hard for solo people to actually create products that are truly secure in the sense that they are well built and audited. And that also have the user integration aspect. You need people to do that. You need experts in those fields. And with AI, it kind of feels like, we can all sort of like do stuff now that we weren't doing before, but the real translation to hardcore, well-audited security and good experience across a range of platforms and devices, that requires a lot of people. And where does the funding come from? It comes from printed money. And as much as we hate to deny that, right? Organizations like Canonical, right, that released Debian, and they went with systemd. And we could talk about systemd, and I have all of the responses to the people that are like, no, it's not that bad. Yes, it is, and there's very clear reasons why. We won't talk about them right now. Probably nobody cares that much here. But if someone does care, sing out. And if you think systemd was a great thing, I'll tell you why it wasn't. But anyways, it's a two-front problem, right? They co-opted the open source movement. They have enshittified open source to make the substrate difficult to work on, right? The underlying platforms, Android, Linux. And then all of the development money goes into other places. Like, having played with this X11 and Zephyr segregation of my Windows system, I understand now that about 3 to 4 competent developers, maybe you got to pay them, maybe you got to spend $600,000, maybe $1 million for over the course of a year to task them with figuring out how to do proper Windows segregation isolation on the X11 platform as a default feature that you can just plug in and turn on for your platform. That probably doesn't require that much investment, right? But we don't have $1 million. Like it's so bad. We don't have $1 million because all of the projects are just trying to eke out their own profit that they can with the developers that they have. And then the big, the truly gargantuan behemoth projects like Red Hat, systemd, IBM, and then by proxy, Fedora, Debian, and all the major distros there that have to, and Mozilla, that all have to suck their funding from somewhere. And that's the money printer, teat. They just don't they're going to focus on the corporatized solutions that are going to give them their best profit and control. In a lot of ways, there was this takeover that happened of open source was to try and get you back into Microsoft and Apple. And I guarantee that in some back deal strip club boardroom, there was a deal. There was discussions being had about how they can co-opt the Linux ecosystem to make it still usable for those that have the tech mentality to use it, but too difficult for normies, unless you wanted to use, certain particular compromised distributions. Otherwise, just use Microsoft and Apple, right? And I know that happened. It's too obvious. That's just their modus operandi. But anyways, that's the uphill battle that we're fighting when it comes to UX. And so if you're making a product, if you're coding something, if you're building something out there, just know that despite all that entire tapestry of problems that I just described, I'm still going to hold you in your project, and if I were to release any project publicly, I'm going to try and hold myself to a high threshold of UX experience, right? I want the user to be able to use the thing without having to wrestle with it and ask them to do a time investment studying my documentation and reading my tweets you shouldn't need to ever look at my tweets to use my product. So that's the open source world has to understand, one, the problem we're dealing with, and then two, like, despite that problem, you still have to figure out how to make your product usable, which is why, again, Graphene is like, it's got to be like my number one top absolute best open source project that exists. Rivaling Monero, easily rivaling Monero, simply for the fact of the level of benefit it gives you for the amount of investment is absolutely minimal, and for the seamlessness that it has.
I would even go a step further to say, like, the Graphene project and the Monero project are like they're wings on the same bird, man. You know, like, it's Monero is destined to fail without secure, like, effective platforms to use it on. And Graphene, I mean, Graphene is a better hardware wallet. Graphene is a better, like, peer-to-peer, let's make a transaction platform, and so on. Like, they're very connected in ways that the overlap, you know, I hope that people are learning from history is another really important point to all of this, which is there was a time where Bitcoin and then Monero were better to use than the banking system, because the banking system was so shitty, and making just a regular electronic transaction right now was so awful. You kind of had PayPal and but it was actually easier to just use crypto if you wanted to make an electronic transaction right now. And they passed it. Like, the corporate overlords got way beyond crypto as far as being able to use it right now. And they have a huge weakness, which is, you know, we've talked about it on the show before, like international transactions, or like a level of finality to your transaction and so on, where there are places where we could gain that ground back. But now we're looking at a situation where, like I was saying before, that the corporate overlords have made these god awful bloated systems, like the changes that were made to Windows 11, or where, like, we have a chance to start as better software and keep that gap, like, just stay ahead of them. And I feel like the focus is not on staying ahead of them. I put out a link to what I think, Gamers Nexus. Gamers Nexus saying we are going to start doing reviews for hardware on Linux. That's a huge step in the sense of they're taking a monetary hit for a relatively niche audience because they want to do the right thing, and they want to be the guys that are actually testing hardware for its performance in the gaming world on Linux. And if anything, like, the entire Linux community, especially gamers, should just be like rallying around these people, like spreading their links and, you know, donating money and buying stuff on their shops and so on. Because this is a huge move. Or like when Steam started, you know, like Steam OS and, you know, the handhelds that they're releasing that are Linux based and all that other stuff. Like, people should be picking up that baton and running and going to their favorite, like, game developers and stuff and saying, like, see, it's not a niche audience anymore. If you want people to buy your game because it's usable on this handheld, you should have native Linux support and all this other stuff. There's a real chance here. And I don't want it to be a repeat of when the financial system was so broken and crypto could have ran away way harder than we actually did. And giving them the chance to close that gap, like with PayPal and all this other stuff. And then they became the way that people used crypto. Like, the banking oligarchs became the way that you used crypto because nobody kept the user experience moving. And all of these half measures of, oh, just up your Linux game, bro, or, you know, just learn how to. And once again, I'm not trying to talk shit on Shortwave. Without people like him, we probably wouldn't even be where we are today. People willing to slug through the nightmares that is using open source technology. But that said, you can't count on people like Shortwave to make a parallel economy by themselves. You know, they'll fill that gap, and then the developers and the people who are paying for stuff and so on. I mean, there's a reason why a lot of people in, let's say, like my area, we're willing to throw a lot of time and effort into trying to fund these development projects. But then you get into a situation where, with the limited time I have right now and the limited time that people with way more money than me that are interested in supporting these things, where's the foundation that we can just say, here's a check, go fund some development? There's not even like a place to put your money where somebody else is going to equally distribute wealth to people who are making progress right now. And I've floated that on this show before. The only person who even took me up on it was Chloe, and now D-Martian. The only people who even bothered to be like, yeah, let's see what we can do about making a foundation that funds open source software development, where people can just write a check, they get a tax break and all this other stuff. And then those people go find promising developers who are delivering on a good UI and all of that other stuff. Like, where are these people? Like, you don't even have to be tech savvy to be the guy who does that. We have to stop counting on technical literacy. And if we don't, then we're going to miss this chance too, where all of a sudden we have a great opportunity to capitalize on the fact that everybody wants to leave Windows. Everybody's sick of the Apple iCloud everything. Like, I talk to a lot of normies in my day-to-day business, and they're like, oh, I can't get off of my iPhone because I'll lose all my pictures. Are you telling me that no one has created an app that will allow you to move all of your pictures off of the cloud and put them into a physical backup so you can access them on a graphene phone or something? Like, where are the people who are grabbing these opportunities and moving people into the open source world? Like, if people who are using iPhones don't want them anymore, they have to, because nobody's offered them an escape hatch.
All right, bros. I think it's about time for me to take off here. Been a good conversation.
For real, bros. I loved it.
Oops. All right, Bawdy. Have a good one.
You too.
Appreciate you coming.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
God bless.
Wonder where Doug's at. I haven't heard hide nor hair of Doug in a while.
I'm here. Thank you, Bawdy. Oh, he already left. All right, guys. Yeah, we could call it here. I'm gonna go do some pumpkin picking. You guys might have pumpkins to pick as well. I don't know.
Speaking of pumpkins, mesh map on the for the Meshtastic nodes, the mesh map actually changed all their icons to pumpkins for Halloween.
Very nice. I think that Vlad talk is supposed to happen. It's supposed to be happening now, right? I was just trying to figure out when that's happening.
I have no idea, dude.
I think it should be happening now.
If it's on Twitter, I have no idea.
So, Vlad and Zeno. He's going to be at Monerotopia, by the way. He's going to be a speaker at Monerotopia, Zeno. So looking forward to that. All right, guys. Yeah, I think we'll end it here. Alaska, you have any last words without going too far down a new rabbit hole?
Doug, you failed. Where's the ad for Monerotopia? People, you need to get there right now.
You missed it. It was at the very beginning of the show.
Oh, that's possible.
Yeah. We
at the very beginning of the show, I'm usually feeding my kids. So I miss like the first 15, 20 minutes almost every episode. Like I'm listening, but I got like noisy kids being fed. So
yeah, that's where it was like in that kind of.
But we need 3 advertisements because everybody needs to make it to Monerotopia. This is like, it's time, ladies and gentlemen. If you didn't go last year, this is your only path to redemption, is to make it this year. Or, I mean, honestly, I don't know you anymore. Like, we can't be friends. I have to shill Zcash to you down there at Monerotopia.
Zcash taking over Monerotopia, guys, unless you come through.
Zcashtopia.
Things are definitely heating up for it. Very much looking forward to it. As I said in the outset of the show, I'm heading down to Mexico City in like next week or 2 weeks. I'll be there for a couple days to plan things. And then yeah, February, it's gonna come fast. It's gonna come fast. No MoneroCon this year, so this is the event. Although I am hearing people like that are trying to maybe pick up the torch with that and just like throw a MoneroCon, even though the committee had kind of said there wasn't going to be one this year. So maybe that does happen. Hope
For all you MoneroCon orphans, there's this thing called Monerotopia. Okay, I know it's a little rowdier, it's a little looser, but you don't have to be as rowdy as the normal. In fact, maybe we need that tame energy from MoneroCon.
Yeah, we could use a little of that. We could use a little more MoneroCon energy for sure.
I would point out Blinn definitely like kind of equaled out, you know, like he kind of
brought it. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely. Although I think maybe we poisoned him a little bit. He's a lot rowdier than he used to be after a MoneroCon attendance.
No, yeah, would love for MoneroCon crew. Obviously, some people do come over. I know it's a long way, but come on. Mexico City.
Guys, shilling aside, I'm telling you right now, it is easily going to be one of the most fun experiences you've had in your life. This isn't just people standing around talking. There is some of that, but this is like, it's actually fun. It's better than a vacation. And you'll never understand unless you're there just how fun, and it's family friendly. Okay. Well, parts of it. So some of it maybe not family friendly, like the VIP, maybe don't bring your kids, but like the actual event itself, it's wholesome, it's friendly, there's good food. It's in a part of Mexico City that is very safe. Stop being paranoid. I mean, keep in mind your own government is out to get you. So what are you worried about coming to Mexico for? Come on down. If you're even remotely on the fence, you're wrong. You need to be on my side of the fence and get down there because it is awesome. And this is probably the last Mexico one. So this is the event that you need to be at. And it is the most fun you're going to have, especially if you're some stuffy tech bro. This is a great place to find out what fun is like.
I think the timing is pretty good too, according to Bawdy's charts thus far. I don't know. I feel like we're still on track for the bull market to continue. Privacy coins are being highlighted right now. Obviously, Zcash is getting most of the limelight, but with full chain membership proofs are literally around the corner. Who knows where we're going to be at by February? I think a lot of things are going to be peaking. There's going to be a lot of eyes on Monero. So it's kind of the perfect storm. And like Alaska said,
it's a great place to learn about Monero. We've shared the example of the person who flew down from Fairbanks to learn about Monero. This is the place where you can actually talk to the people who make the software. Like not just who develop for Monero, but all of it. This is the place where you can actually meet individuals who can get you caught up in the game. This is a place where, another thing is it's a great place to acquire Monero. Like if you're trying to get KYC free Monero and you have issues with that, like maybe you live in a country with issues jurisdictionally or so on, it's a great place to acquire Monero. It's an even better place to spend Monero. There's this guy who is at every booth, Alaskanon, who will acquire all of the Monero you're looking to get rid of. For gold, silver, pesos, dollars, whatever you want, I'm your man. Just give me that Monero. But there's no better place to learn about Monero, ladies and gentlemen, than at this conference, no matter where you're at. Or even stuff peripheral, like you want to learn how to build a website, there are people who can teach you. You want to learn how to use Linux, there are people that teach you. Tux spent 3 days teaching people how to get graphene on their phone and how to use it, and this is the place to learn if you're going to learn. But more importantly, if you're going to have more fun than you would be allowed to have in your normie life, this is the place where you can have an unlimited amount of fun and no one's going to know what you were up to when you leave, because we're privacy people. We're not going to tell people the stories about things that you don't want your family to know that you were up to. Like, this is, it's for everybody. Please come to Monerotopia. And Doug is very good at facilitating. If you have issues financially, if you had, like, let us know. I think I bought 9 or 10 tickets last year.
Alaska is a Monerotopia angel, by the way. He's one of the reasons this conference has continued to succeed. He gives so much to the community when he's down there. I mean, that's a big part of coming down to the conference too, just hanging out with Alaska. So
if you show up and you don't have a ticket, I'll buy it for you. Okay. So come on down.
Yeah, another thing to say too is you can attend completely anonymously, right? I mean, it's basically, especially if you just you buy your ticket anonymously, and you can kind of blend in too, because the conference itself is in essentially like a public park in the city, right? So you could walk into this venue. And not everybody knows that you're attending a Monero conference, right? We combine the public with the conference attendees, so it's kind of
nobody asks.
We have a nice anonymity set going there, yeah, for sure. So yeah, guys, don't need to chill it anymore. Alaska, thanks for having us bring it up again. It is important that we get some momentum behind it. So if you are gonna buy your ticket, just do it now. It will just help us make it bigger and better than ever. And if there is any issue with, you don't have the means or whatever, email us, Monerotopia@protonmail.com. And if you want to participate in any way, email us, Monerotopia@protonmail.com. I will end it there, guys. We do these shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. See you guys next week. Adios.
See ya.
God bless you all.
Ciao. Pumpkin time.
Thank you for joining us on this week's Monerotopia episode. We stream live shows every Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. You can find and subscribe to our show on YouTube and Odyssey, or listen to the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, or Stitcher. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or join us in the Monerotopia Telegram group. See you all next week.